Hey everybody, ReefGrrl here, and welcome to ReefGrrl Live. I am so happy you could make it. The whole idea here is to have some fun, chat, get some questions answered, maybe show off what you're doing, and get to know each other a little bit better. So sit back, relax, grab a drink. The stream is about to begin. Hi everyone, we're live again on Saturday night. Thanks for coming by. I see there are a lot of people in the chat already, and we're up to 12 people watching right from the start. That's awesome. So let me say hi to everyone, and I'll bring you up to date with some news from this week and some information about the giveaway that was at the end of this week's reminder video. And yeah, who are we going to start with? Filipino Reefer. Hey, Benny. Filipino Reefer was first tonight. Good evening, fellow reefers. Hey, Benny. And Lynn Reef Nerd, she said, dang it, she figured she would be first. Pretty close, though, Lynn. You were in pretty soon after Benny. Hey, JV Gwaltney, and he also thought he might be first. Oh, that's cool. Welcome, JV. Malcolm's Reef is here from Florida. Hello, Malcolm. And there's Skookumchuck Reefer, David. Haven't seen you in a while, David, and I know last time we chatted here, you were about to move your 12-foot aquarium, and I wonder how that went for you. So I don't know if you still have it or whether it actually happened, but it'd be interesting to know. And there's Carlos 23. Hey, my favorite Carlos. Nice to see you too. There's Broke Reef Man 45. Hey, Broke Reef Man. And Straight Reefer. Hey, Straight Reefer, glad you could make it. Diacanthus Reef is here, and Taryn's Little Ocean. Welcome, Taryn. Awesome. Oh, this is great. You guys are like right on the ball tonight. And it's probably a good time to talk about one question I have for you all. Last week after the live stream, it ended about quarter after midnight, I think. And I was up until 5 in the morning, just going through the replay, and which I usually do, and doing some cleanup. And I was so pumped, I guess. It was such a good stream, really enjoyed it. So I wondered if you guys were interested, or if you thought it might be a good idea to start a little earlier. I was thinking maybe at 8 might be a good time to start, or 8:30, because that would get us our whatever 2-3 hours, whatever it ends up being. I don't really have a hard stop, because you know what it's like when you're in the midst of a conversation, or we get some people together and we're all chatting. I don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to turn into a pumpkin, it's over. So I try to sort of end it at a natural point in the evening. Usually it's when everybody's phone starts running out of juice. So I don't know, what do you think about starting earlier, and what suggestions might you have? I am also looking at, during February, doing a Sunday, probably early afternoon Eastern time, to try and catch worldwide, to see whether it would work to have a live stream on a Sunday that might pick up a bunch of different time zones around the world. Because I know a lot of you in the UK stay up really late to stay here or to come here. We've had visitors from South Africa, from Australia, Dubai, and it's an ungodly hour in some of those places. So I thought I'd try and do that. And February seems like a good time to try it. So let me know what you think. Okay, let's read if there's comments about that. Wow, lots of activity in the chat here. So Benny just finished a water change. Taryn says, happy Saturday. Poor white man. Hey, poor white man. Oh no, can't stay long. Sister's brand new tank we set up 2 weeks ago is crashing. Oh no, that's terrible. Oh, well, good luck with that. Hey, Sharbuckle. Hey, nice to see you. Camaro Kid. Hey, Camaro Kid. So sad I'm going to miss the live drunk fest. Oh, boy. Is he still around? Like, really? It's, yeah, I wondered about that, but, okay. Rude Boy Reefer Evolution. Hey, Rude Boy. More ReefGrrl is always a good idea. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I'm glad I'm just glad you guys enjoy this as much as I do, because it's like especially during this pandemic, it's been like a lifeline to get to stay in touch with everybody. So, yeah. She lost an orange. Next Sunday is Super Bowl. Oh no, it won't be next Sunday because I'm looking for poor white man's comment. Oh boy. She lost an orange Lobo and a Duncan, and her torch is also dying. Oh, something's going on. Australia, it's exactly 12 hours. 8 is good. Okay. Oh, hey, Lynn Reef Nerd. Oh, I did say hi to you. You probably just came back from waiting for the stream to start. Okay. 4 streams running. Wow. Yeah, I hear you. I don't know where my time goes these days though with the new reef setup starting. It's crazy. Oh, you know what? That's a really good point, Broke Reef Man. And honestly, I never thought of that. Tank lights will still be on, and it might be an opportunity for us to see more people's tanks if the lights are still going. So yeah, that's a really good point. Yes, my husband is a football fan. He is going to be watching the Super Bowl, and yeah, and actually, it's probably also a good time to say next Saturday there won't be a live stream because it's virtual family birthday day. All of our birthdays are in February, so we decided to celebrate them all at the earliest one, which is my husband's, and my daughter's is a couple of days after that, and mine isn't until the end of the month. So we're going to do that next Saturday night. So I don't think we'll be done in time for me to have a live stream, and I don't want to rush the family time to get away. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a little bit fluid for next week, but I'll try and keep you posted. Okay. Hey, ATF in the house. Nice to see you too. And there is MB Reef. Thanks for coming by, MB Reef. Okay, Sharbuckles. Useless Reefer is here. Yeah, I feel pretty useless some days. That's a great name, by the way. I love it. Nat King Reef. Hey, Nat. Hey, Acro Breeder. Nice to see you. Uh-oh. Blew a seam. Oh, my God. Oh, no, I think that's every reef keeper's worst nightmare, aside from mystery mass death. Oh, that's a shame. Chi-Town Reefer, nice to see you. And Ryan McCallum. My goodness, we have popped up to 29 people almost instantly. Okay, well, I have a couple things to show you guys. May as well get into that while we're waiting to see if anyone wants to come in. Where's the comments? I really should get some glasses because I have a hard time seeing the comments without leaning in and squinting. I have a short video clip of the plumbing part of the heating system for the new tank installed. And Monday, the electrician is coming in 2 days to install a couple of extra receptacles and to hook up the circulating pump, to hook a plug up to it so that it can be plugged into the temperature controller, which will then get plugged into an outlet and yada, yada. So here is the short clip. Yep, you can see all of the PEX hose run up and across the ceiling. And then we looped it over the beam, and it's coming down to the installed recirculating pump or circulating pump. The 2 taps are so we can drain the system and refill it at any time. And then that's the heater on the bottom.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was me saying beautiful on the clip. So that is on the verge of being where we can test it. So I'm super, super thrilled about that. Woke up to the sound of pouring water. Oh, that's never good. ATF in the house. Should I or should I not change me bottom 33 long to a sand bottom tank with similarly Aussie reef tank with a wall along the back? I don't know. I'm kind of biased towards sand. I really like sand in a reef tank, and I do understand how it does become a little bit of a nutrient sink, but there are ways around that. I don't know. I'm sure the chat will have some opinions on that. Lynn Reef nerd, fancy. Yeah, it is. But you know what? As soon as I knew I had enough space, I knew I wanted radiant heat. Because when you think about the catastrophes people have, a lot of them, a majority of them, I'm sure, I mean, I've never collected data, but from anecdotes, are because of heater failures, one way or the other. And the best way around it is radiant heat. You need space and the facility to be able to put everything in, but it's an experiment for me too, because obviously I've never done it. But Alex G's Aquariums and Blue Carbon Reefing are where I first saw this done. And ever since I saw that, I knew that if I had the opportunity, I was going to do it. So we're going for broke. It's commitment. Talking about probably going to hang 2 ocean revives over them from the bottom part of the top tank. Yeah, that'd be cool. So ATF, your sand bottom tank, Aussie reef tank, would you turn that into a tank with Australian corals? Is that kind of what you're thinking? And the wall along the back, do you mean like an internal covering on the inside, or do you mean that it's against a wall? I'd be interested to know that. Oh, hey, Pappy Reefer. Happy Saturday, Reefers. Happy Saturday to you too. That's awesome. Okay, what else have I got to show you guys? I did upload some stuff, pictures. Okay, well, here's what I did today. Yeah, isn't that the most disgusting thing you've ever seen, or pretty much almost? Those are the sponges from my Fluval 406 canister that runs the holding tank. And the 4 little ones on top are from the very bottom container compartment that the water hits first. The black is because of carbon. I had carbon sitting on top of it. Pretty bad. If you look close, there's a lot of slime on here. There's a lot of rotting algae. It's pretty bad. So that's what I did today. And it was overdue. I looked at my calendar. The last time I did it was maybe 3.5 months ago. So almost immediately after I was done, the water already started looking clearer. So I have to wait 2 weeks. Then I'm going to do the other one. Then when the time comes to set up the reef here, I'll be taking some of, not the ones I just showed you, because I don't even know if I can get them clean. They're so bad. But I brought them home with me to try and soak them and see if I could salvage them. But I'll be pulling some out of the canisters. So they'll have 2, 3, 4 weeks to develop more biology, and pull some out, pull some media out, and put it in the new system once everything's connected together and there's water in there. And we have Taryn's Little Ocean in the waiting room over here. And she's going to show us something cool. Hey, Taryn.
Hey, Cindy, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay? Yeah?
Yep, sounds
Okay,
good.
awesome. I'm just showing my tank downstairs just because my one upstairs is the lights are going out, but yeah, my maroons are doing good. They've been together over a month now, so the little guy still looks little, but he is growing. So, and this tank actually I had like a giant, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, but I had a giant like algae bloom in it.
Oh,
And it was just like the rocks just all of a sudden got full of algae. So I ended up taking that giant turbo snail that I had in my main tank that the clowns were hating on. And I moved him in here, and he literally cleaned it all in one night.
Aren't they
So
amazing?
I was literally shocked. Like, I mean, I've had turbo snails before, but I've never really had a like where it was all of the rocks had algae on it. So I guess I couldn't really appreciate it, but I took a video. Actually, I should put up an after picture because it was kind of like midway where like this rock was clean and then this was like all algae. It had like green algae. I think it might have had a bit of cyano on it. Like it was ugly. And I came in the morning and it looked like this. So, I mean, yeah, I was really shocked. So he's gonna stay in here for a while, but
Yeah.
yeah. So the clown actually, like the maroon clown isn't loving him either. I don't know if it's just the size of the snail, but I've never seen clowns get so mad at snails before. But
Well, mine used to knock glass, and mine were the size of hamsters.
your clowns or your snails?
My snails, and they were
Oh, okay.
in that corner, just minding their own business, doing their job, and the clowns would be ripping at them, and they would knock them right off the glass. It was crazy.
Yeah, my ones upstairs, they were like, one was on the top, like trying to like bite at the actual like snail, like the flesh of it, and the other one was going under the snail and trying to like heave it off from like under the sand. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? So then I got him out of there because they were just getting like right mad at him. But anyways, it's been doing good in here. So that snail is worth like 20 other snails, I'm telling you. So yeah. So these guys are doing good. In my tank upstairs, I actually had a bit of a problem. Well, remember I said I lost my torch?
Yeah.
So I think it was actually brown jelly, but I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't looking good. I thought it was because I had adjusted my lighting, and like it had just kind of died, and then ended up losing my plate coral, which is like really sad because it was one of my favorite corals.
Yeah.
And that's when I noticed that it was brown jelly. So I took it out, obviously, as soon as I saw it without like disturbing anything. And then I haven't. I lost one other thing. I lost my millipora to it as well. So that was a couple weeks ago now, and I think it's gone, but I'm not like I was researching online, but I never really found like how to treat your like if it's free floating in the water, and then I read that only corals that weren't healthy can get brown jelly if it's in your water, but I don't know, like my plate coral was healthy and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So um yeah, I'm not sure. Have you ever had that?
Oh, yeah. I had it in the 29-gallon cube that I had. It was one of the nightmare things that I had when I got back from vacation after hiring a fish store guy to look after my tanks. And
Oh yeah, I remember you talked about
it
that
was
last week.
awful. Yeah. And so the only way I didn't know what it was either. And I just took a turkey baster and I siphoned as much of it out as I could every single night, took it out of the tank, put it in a cup, got rid of it. Because whatever it was, I knew it had to be bad. And I knew enough not to start spraying it all over the place by just, spraying it off the rocks. And eventually it went away and nothing died from it. So I just figure it was a bacteria that was introduced, after he ate chicken wings or something and stuck his hands in my tank. I don't know.
Oh,
But it was a nightmare.
I didn't see any like free floating. That was the thing. It's just like the coral, like the torch coral was kind of like doing good, not doing good. And then it just perished. And then I didn't see anything free floating or at all. But then once I saw my plate coral getting it, then I was like, okay, this seems like it's something. And then it was on my millie, but I never actually saw any like floating parts of it. So unfortunately my UV sterilizer like kicked the bucket. So I'm waiting on getting a new one delivered. So I don't know if that helps it, but I like running UV 24/7 on that tank. Just
yeah. Well, from what I remember, brown jelly usually sets in when there's some sort of injury. So even if like one of your clowns took a run at the other clown and they bounced off the torch, or if the tentacles are out on the plate coral and the clowns are diving in and out, or snails go across it too, who knows, right? If the tissue gets damaged and the bacteria is in the water and that area becomes infected with that bacteria, and that's the brown jelly is essentially the bacteria proliferating on the tissue that it's consuming. So that's just what I remember from years ago. Well, this is probably going back to 2015. So like almost 6 years ago, there's probably a lot more information now than there was back then. But bacteria, and so if you think about it, if bacteria spreads through your water, the brown jelly is the byproduct of the bacteria doing what it's doing. So it contains bacteria, and if it spreads around, then the bacteria spreads around. So
Yeah.
I could see how it could easily, even if you can't see it, even if a small piece gets fluffed off, it could end up infecting something else if there's any kind of a wound. Or, I'm famous for dropping my tweezers and slicing through the flesh of LPS corals. It's happened so many times. I get so mad at myself because it's just carelessness, or I'm in a hurry, or it bounces off something on the way out of the tank. And yeah, it's just not good. Oh, hey, DMV Silverback G. A few more people in here. Oh, there's Alex G's aquarium. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you don't get any more, but it did eventually go away. And
Okay.
I would say if you see any areas of it, just siphon it out with a turkey baster and remove that water from the tank and just top up the water if you take an appreciable amount. Or, I mean, you could even, I guess, start a siphon like you would for a water change.
Yeah.
And sort of go over that area. But I don't know if you get enough suction on it to pull the stuff off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, that was my first experience with that, but I didn't, like I said, with the torch, I was like, okay, well, sometimes they can just get, I don't know, I've heard that there can sometimes be hit or miss. And I knew with the time, I mentioned last time, I think, when the time change, I had adjusted my lights a little bit, like made longer, ramping up and ramping down. And I think that irritated it.
Mm-hmm.
And then even when I adjusted it back, it just was never kind of the same. But hopefully nothing else gets affected. But that's the story with that tank. Other than that, everything else is going good. So, and then these guys are doing good. I still haven't added in an enemy or anything because honestly, I'm just waiting till it gets a little bit more mature. And I just want to make sure that the big maroon doesn't get like super territorial when I add an anemone and try to like murder my little guy, because they're getting along so good. They even they kind of sleep together like by the return pump at night. So they like stay together at night, and there's been actually no, like, knock on wood, no problems between them, and he's growing. So they've been together like a month now, so
nice.
Hopefully it keeps up. But yeah,
DMV Silverback is saying, I think you mean H2O2, hydrogen peroxide. Soak them, and I don't know whether he means for your brown jelly, but I'm just
I did read
think
that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think whether, like, if it were me, I would try to remove the coral. I mean, holding it upside down so you don't damage any of the tentacles. Get rid of the part that's dying by getting the flesh out of there somehow. I don't know. Maybe dip that part in hydrogen peroxide and then put it in another small bowl of tank water to oxidize, and then back in the tank.
I did read that you can like even like use a toothbrush with some hydrogen peroxide and kind of, but honestly, by the time I recognized what it is, like the torch was already gone. I was just like, okay, maybe. I just thought it was the way that it was, the flesh was looking after it had died.
Yeah.
Because it like is more of a fleshy coral, right? It's not like it when you lose an SPS, but so I wasn't sure. I didn't think it was brown jelly until I saw it on my plate coral. And then literally by that point I was like, okay, I'm getting this out of here because I don't want to lose the rest of my tank. So
yeah, no kidding. Well, now you have another tank to put that stuff in if you had to.
Well, I have 3 now. my
Yeah.
goodness, this
Oh,
happened fast. So, yeah. Well, actually, I have 4, but one's freshwater. But so I'll show it to you in a second because you saw that in my laundry room, I had kind of set up like a mini fish room.
yeah.
So I have all my stuff down there now. And then I had this spare tank that I always try to keep a spare tank just in case of like any kind of an emergency, right? So
Mhm.
then, of course, I filled it up and I started cycling it. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be my quarantine tank. But honestly, I'm not really planning on adding anything to any of my tanks anytime soon. So then I was like, oh, looking at an empty tank. And then I end up getting a couple of clowns for it. So actually, I'll go there and show you now.
Okay. ATF in the house, 33 longest and 33. Oh, I see. Oh, cool. That sounds like it would be really pretty, Alan. The 40 busted. Oh, are they the 150s? These Rubbermaid things are so hard to find. I don't know if you're in Canada, we got ours at TSC. And looking at the warehouse inventory when we were trying to figure out how to order them, because they didn't have them locally, we had to order them online and then pick them up in the local store. But they had like 3 in their entire Ontario-wide inventory, and we figure it has something to do with supply chain issues because inventory everywhere of this kind of plastic is really, really thin. Yeah, the biggest one is a 150. We got it at TSC, the tractor store, Tractor Supply Center, I guess it stands for. It's called PV Mart, PEAVEY, in Ontario now. So I don't know what the status is of those things these days. We got them in November. Yeah. What else we got in the comments here? Any questions? Talking about Acro Breeders disaster. Hey, Doctor of Welsh Magic. Nice to see you. You're still awake. That's awesome. Hi, Amanda Bassel. And Mo Reefs is here. Nice to see you too. Yeah. Talking about that is really a shame. Nice clownfish.
So this is Lucy and Henry. So
Are they Clarkies?
they're Clarkies. I love
Oh
Clarkies.
God, no kidding. You talked to Sharbuckle with Big Mama.
I know. I just commented to him. I was like, well, because I always like I loved her in his tank, right? So I don't know. I just like Clarkies. I think they're
Well,
they're
they're spunky and they've got character.
and they're kind of traditional looking, but they're kind of
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, they're
Um,
beautiful.
they're actually so big. Like you probably can't tell in the picture, but they're actually a breeding pair. So,
Cool.
they are. I don't know. I want to say they're like 3 inches. Like they're big.
Yeah.
So I got them today.
Nice.
But
So
yeah, they're doing awesome.
are you gonna give them an anemone or anything at some point?
I think so. I'm not like this. Honestly, this tank is just kind of set up with stuff I had around. Like I'm actually just running it with like a hang on back and like
Yeah. Yeah.
extra power heads. Like it's nothing special. But I did look into, I think there's something called a Fiji cube or something that you can actually make a tank into an all in one. It's like an insert that you put in.
Yeah. Yep.
So I might eventually do that because this is just a tank that I had kicking around. It used to be a freshwater tank, but yeah, so I might eventually do that. But I was thinking I might do a carpet anemone in here eventually. Like,
Oh,
yeah, so
that is a really good idea.
I'll have to upgrade my lighting and stuff. And I was planning on just doing it bare bottom. I might, if they lay eggs, I might try to raise them. I've been doing some research on it. I'm going to give a crack at it. So that's why I have the pots in here.
Yeah.
So I've got 3 pots in here. And then this is that real reef rock.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I had a little bit of extra sand that I didn't use in my last system. So I just threw it in like under it looks a little bit messy right now because it's kind of like gotten blown around, but I just threw it under the pot so they could have something in just a little bit more surface area for bacteria, just because I'm only running the hang on back. I don't have a sump or anything for it. I was actually looking into, I think they're called Marine Pure Bio Balls. They're like, I was thinking of putting them in there. I'm not 100% sure, but I've seen people having them in their like actual tanks. They look like, yeah.
I know what you mean. And I had the Marine Pure blocks at one time. The one thing you have to make sure with those is that you try to avoid allowing them to get any detritus on them because it gets into them. I've always used the Sea Chem Matrix.
That's what I use too.
Yeah, like that stuff is amazing. Or Cyperax. Cyperax is sintered glass, and it is really, really good too. It gets a lot done in a very small space.
I just wasn't sure if, because I have a giant, like not a giant bottle, but a pretty big bottle of Matrix. I just wasn't sure if I could actually add it like in my tank, like if, because obviously like the hang on back, you can't, I've got a pretty big bag of it in there that I took out of my other tank. That's a problem when you have multiple tanks, is you can be like, oh, I could start a new tank. I have an idea.
And the thing with the hang on back is you still really do need some kind of mechanical filtration. I don't see any reason why you couldn't put like as long as you could get flow nearby so that the water is treated by the matrix.
Right.
It doesn't take much. You don't need huge quantities to do a lot because it has such surface area.
Okay.
So even if you were able to just put a small bag in the bottom of your filter, like your hang on back filter, and then put your sponges or your cartridges or whatever it needs above that or beside that. Like if you have any spare space in that hang on back that you can use, because the other thing is, as long as you have some kind of a sponge to trap detritus, that when I use hang on backs, that's how I approach it. That's what the sponge is for.
Right.
I've never used the sponges for the biological filtration. I mean, you can, that's kind of how they run in some instances, but if you can make room for matrix, that will do the job, especially, what is that, maybe 10 gallons?
It's actually 30. It's,
oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like it, but
that's a decent size.
Yeah, it's actually a really, oops.
Oh, hey, Ugly Mans and Granny's Fanny 49. Oh, we lost you. And you could add another hang on back filter as well. And hey, you know what? I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Look up. I'm going to give you a brand name here. Let's see. Create a banner. That's not how it's spelled. Trying to remember how it's spelled. Submersible filter. I have a couple of different sizes of submersible filters from this company, and they can go right under the water. Hope I spelled it right. Submersible filter. They can go right. I got them on Amazon. They can go under the water in the tank, and most of them have a spray bar as well. So they don't have to be sticking up above the tank. And I see you've got a lid on that one. You could put it in the tank into the water, like below the water level. So acting as a filter, you wouldn't have to have it hang on back and be able to go up and around the lid, right? Or under the lid. So check that out. They're not expensive.
Okay.
And they make different sizes, and they really do work. That's what I used in my sump to keep the water moving when I was worried about detritus settling down around the return pump. And I laid it on its side, and it did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll check that out. What I have in the hang on back right now is I have a sponge for my other tank just to increase like the bacteria, and then I just have it packed with Matrix, and then I just have filter floss on the top. I haven't ran any carbon or anything in it yet, but I do have space to put carbon.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna look at that other filter too. Honestly, I'll probably end up doing the Fiji cube with this just because.
Yeah. That would make the most sense. Then you'll have lots of space for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then I like running UVs on my tanks just because of the water clarity in that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Calypso's Reefs. Granny's Fanny. I guess no one is here. Well, I think we're here. There's like, how many people? There's over 20 people here. Yeah, that's cool. And into the MTS.
I know, right? No, this is like I can't. Okay, other than like, then I'm like, okay, what if they and what if I am successful with the babies? And I'm like, I'm not gonna want to sell them, and then I'm gonna have to set up like a harem tank. Like I do have my 55 that's freshwater, so I mean, I wouldn't mind just rehoming most of the livestock except for that goldfish that I have that's like 12 or 13 years old. So,
Yeah.
like, once he goes, like, I'm done with it. So, that's kind of my plan for that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Those guys are very, very pretty.
They're so nice. They're so healthy, and I couldn't believe how big they were when I got them. Like I got them off someone on Facebook, the same person actually that I got my maroons from.
Yeah.
And then when I went to go and get them, I was like, wow, they just like they don't look that big in the video or in the pictures, but like they're big. And it's funny the relationship with them because the female, like they're a mated pair, like they're a breeding pair. So the female is like the male just sticks right with her generally. Like right now they're kind of a little bit amped up, but he just sticks right beside her. And even when they're eating, like she eats first, and then like he was eating something and then she came over and he like spit it out and then she ate it. So it's like she's definitely the boss. It's just, I don't know, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've got going on. That's it. Brown jelly, maroons, and Clarkies.
Well, that's enough. All in
Right?
1 week? All in 1 or 2 weeks? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, thanks for showing us. That's really, really fun.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to see your tank. It looks like it's going to be coming along.
Well, I'm trying to stop myself from contacting the fish store guy that I've ordered the tank through like every other day to see what's happening. Because I paid for the tank last weekend and I haven't heard anything since then. What we talked about before that was, yeah, it's a 6-week build time, blah, blah, blah. And all the details of what it was going to be like and this and that. So that's all finalized. But since then, I have not heard from him. So I don't want to contact him and say, how's he doing? Has he started yet?
Oh, I would be. I'm like so annoying. Like even when I got this maroon, because she was like a solo maroon and I really wanted a pair. So I mean, I was like, okay, like can you try this with her? And like the guy tried like four different maroons with her, but she was just like not having it with them. So I was like, I'm sorry, I won't bother you like for tomorrow, but like are they doing good? But like I'm that person. When did you order your tank?
A week ago. So like last Saturday. Yeah. Or was it Friday?
Okay.
It was Friday. No, it was Friday. Yeah. Because I told everybody on Saturday night that I had paid for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a big step. It's taken months and months, and my husband's been working on plumbing, and we had a big plumbing order come in this week. I think I got a picture of it. All of the stuff.
I saw that on
the
Insta.
table. Yep, there it is. Look at the cat.
That's awesome.
Look at those bulkheads. Like they're like the size of my head. They're huge. They're huge, and they each weigh like I don't know, a pound and a half or something. Like they're heavy. It's just
so are
crazy.
you guys plumbing it by yourselves, or is the tank company going to help with that at all, or what's the plan with that?
Well, we're doing everything in the basement, and
Oh
The
yeah.
part that's going to get installed is when the tank comes, the fish store guy and his crew, they're going to do the plumbing for the tank to get it down through the floor. Like we're going to make the hole in the floor, but they're going to run the pipes and hook up the return pumps downstairs. And he's going to be drilling the bulkheads for the return pumps in the final 100 where the radiant heating is. So we're going to have to drain that down once we know what the water level is going to be or need to be. Because we won't know that until the tank comes, until I decide what water level I want to run. And if the pump shuts off, how much is going to settle, because that's the space I need to leave in the final sump chamber just before the pumps. And so I can't fill it right up. And it's probably only going to be half full. So that's going to determine where the bulkhead gets drilled. We don't know that yet. So we're doing everything up to that point. And to run the sump as a system, a closed system, I'm just going to drop a Jabo DCS 7000 in that I had from the Red Sea tank. And we're just going to drop that in the final 100 gallon that has the radiant heat coils and run a flexible pipe up into the trash can and run it as a closed system. And that's what I hope to get cycled before the tank arrives and get my reef moved back here. Well, I mean, if everything goes like I'm hoping, I should have the reef here for 2 or 3 weeks anyway before the tank arrives.
Oh wow, that's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
That'll be nice for you.
I hope so. I'm just so, and it wears on you after a while, because I really only have about 2 hours every time I go, and I can really in all practicality only go about 3 days a week. So 6
Yeah.
hours a week, well, from having a reef tank, it's not enough time. It
No.
really isn't.
My
Yeah.
husband's like, it's your part-time job. Well, well,
Yeah.
it's not really a job, but I mean, now I have now I'm like, what was I thinking? Water changes on 3 tanks, but
Yeah.
like I got a system now, and they're all small. Like none of them are huge, so it's not
Yeah.
that like big of a
Yeah.
deal. So
It still takes time. Oh, hey, Jeffrey Hammer. Could not type quick 20-gallon water change and had to clean up. Oh, I'm glad you could make it. Cool. Like the cat. Sneaky. That cat, his name is Kenny. He's 15 years old. He's number 5 of the 5 animals that we started out with, that we had up until December 2017 and 2017. And we've been kind of losing them one at a time, mostly old age. There's a bunch of chat going on. Yeah, acro breeder. I just, that gives me the shivers to think of that happening. Blowing a seam like that.
what are you going to do with Mollywood when you put it in your big tank? Are you going to use it like as a frag tank, or have you not decided yet?
I haven't really decided yet. It probably would make a good frag tank, but there are areas that I can use as a frag area in the sump system.
Oh, okay.
And I may keep it as a quarantine tank, because they're so basic. They're so, well, you know what it's like with all-in-ones. They're so easy to run, and it's self-sustained. Like it's very self-contained. So I might just keep it as a quarantine tank and put coral and fish and inverts in there. Not necessarily to medicate, but to observe. And then if I do have to medicate, I would just quickly set up another tank. And because I've got the sponge filters, I've got everything I need to set up a quick QT.
Okay.
So if I had to do that, but I mean, as far as fish goes, I buy them quarantined anyway.
Okay.
It's just invertebrates and corals, because inverts can carry pests, and you just don't know. Oh, can you show us the pic again? Okay, you want to see my cat? And all the guys can look at the plumbing. That's not sexist, is it? Yes, there's the cat, Kenny. He's hiding.
He's so
Man,
cute. He's really cute.
I look at now, how do I get rid of it? There it is. Yeah, I look at him and I can't believe he's 15.
I have a cat that's like 18, but she's really old. She's got arthritis, and she's a Maine Coon, so she's really long haired. And then I have a Siamese too, and he's a troublemaker. But honestly, he actually. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Acrobeater wants to know if we want to see the mess. I would love to see what you had to go, what you ended up with. Like how did you fix it and all of that. Johnny Martinez. Oh, thanks, Lynn. Yeah, Kenny. He's a polydactyl and he weighs about 17 pounds and he's massive. He can stand on his hind legs and put his paws on the dining room table. That's how big he is.
Wow.
And he's, yeah. Hello, in terms of Oceanfell Reefers, stay safe and careful. You too, Johnny. Okay. I think I have some other pictures too of stuff. Well, I don't know if I showed you some of the rock that came in. This is the Carib Sea, South Seas shelf rock. And there are 8 pieces because I'm going to build a huge cave structure for the back of the tank. Like when you're looking at it from the front, along the back is going to be caves for fish and territories. Because I want to have a lot of open swimming space. And my light, there's one of the 2. That's been around for a couple weeks now. I think I told you guys. So there's that. And look at this. There are the rocks and stuff I'm going to start working with. And the that shelf has Carib Sea base rock. And then the bottom shelf now has the shelf rock because we moved it from upstairs down there. I've got my E. Marco cement. Lots of it. 2 buckets plus another bucket that I've had for a while from other projects that I did. I'm using the 2 little fishies, Little Feet and Little Rocks to build arches. So that's going to be like major. Oh, we got Acrobreeder. Let's bring him in. Hey there, Acrobreeder. Oh my goodness. Is that...
What's going on, Cindy? Yeah, that's the old one outside here.
Oh boy.
So
Wow.
I cut the plumbing apart. I took the overflow box out.
Wow. And what actually happened? It blew a seam, you said?
On the bottom, I'm not sure exactly because it's got this plastic trim on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a good amount of water flowing.
Oh no.
But I got a new one. Had to drill a hole. I got it back in place. I had to take off of work to take care of it, but
you'd never even know.
No,
yeah, it's the exact same tank.
Wow, that's crazy.
Some of the corals are a little aggravated, but you know, they spent the day kind of in a dark tank with, you know, without their normal conditions, but
yeah,
the fish seem healthy, so fingers crossed.
Did you lose much water?
I'd say about 5 gallons was on the floor.
Oh boy.
So I woke up to the noise, luckily. Otherwise, I think it would have been a whole different story.
You know, my husband made a really good suggestion, and I've been thinking about how you could possibly do it. The noises from a reef tank and what they mean. All the little beeps and the trickles and the water gushing onto the floor. Like the things that you learn to interpret after you've had a reef tank for a while, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely woke up and knew something was wrong. It was pretty funny. I'm kind of like clockwork, but it was around 5 a.m. I just jumped up and sure enough, walked into a puddle of water.
Oh, do you have sand in there?
No. Spare bottom.
Oh, so you didn't have to worry about that part of it.
Yeah, that was a nice advantage there. Because, you know, otherwise you have to stir that up and you could have your own set of issues from that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have another tank in the background, or is that just a reflection?
Yeah, I have 3.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm kind of a loser that way.
I have 3 too, so and a freshwater.
This is my 75 gallon. Still
so nice. Look at that Monty.
Wow,
yeah,
nice.
also this one's, you know, bare bottom. The Monties are glowing on the grass.
Yeah. I have war coral growing on the glass of mollywood on the bottom from just a piece that I put down there because it was killing off something else. I forget what. And I noticed the other day it's starting to encrust on the glass.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I had a few little spots. If you can see these orange spots, I've been trying for the last year to get it not to grow, and somehow the smallest little speck, it comes back. You can see there, there's another speck of it.
Oh man, life finds a way, right?
Well, yeah, when you don't want it to, but when you're trying to save a nice acro, it seems to not always play out.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Beespig. Man-made rock frightens me. Reefer's Sixth Sense. Yeah, Jeffrey Hammer. That's exactly what it is.
So that, and I lost my seahorse, both of my seahorses,
Oh, no.
a couple weeks ago. So this tank is barren now.
Oh, that's too bad. Is it a lifespan thing?
Yeah, they were the ORA tiger tails. And from what I read in captivity, they get about 1.5 years, 2 years. And it was like almost 2 years. So I think it was just time, their time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Not a lot of us get to see our animals live their full lifespan for one reason or another. So, I think of Reef Keeper, Phil, and his 27 or 26 or 27-year-old clownfish that he's had. Like
That's
right
my
from
goal.
day one. Oh my God. And really it goes along with me. I want my big colonies. That's what I'm hoping for with the big tank.
You'll certainly have the room. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Gabe's Reef Tampa. Welcome.
I'm constantly running out of room is my problem.
Yeah. Oh, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
When you start, you think you have lots. And then you just squeeze another little frag in here and another little frag in there. And oh man, before you know it, everything's growing into each other. And
Yeah. So I don't know. It's been kind of a rough month. I lost a few fish, the seahorses. I had a tank bust.
Wow.
So it's been kind of a bunch of unnecessary
Aggravation.
stress, but I kind of do this hobby to relax, and it's been kind of stressful. But
well, that's 3. So hopefully, bad things come in 3s. So
let's hope.
yeah. Oh, hey, Diacanthus.
Yeah, I lost my other snowflake clown. I mean, I can't really pinpoint it to anything. He was obese. I mean, not a joke. It was enormous. So I'm thinking maybe like liver. I've heard of liver or kidney issues.
Yeah.
When they overeat.
It's hard to say. I always wondered whether Jack Blenny, my first lawnmower Blenny, had stomach problems because you'd swear he swallowed a marble. His belly used to get so taut and extended, and it did not look healthy.
Yeah, that's how this clown looked. I mean, its stomach was, it was about as wide as it was long. It was crazy for the last year or so.
Yeah.
It happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we have only a few fish, especially when we have small tanks. There's only a few fish, and we tend to really, really, I don't know about you, but I'm always watching my fish for every little detail. So when you start seeing things like that and you look into it and, you do research on bloating or whatever, it all focuses on dropsy. No, that's not what am I thinking of? Where the scales all point outwards. I can't remember.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one, but
pine coning?
Yeah, when that happens, there's it's not dropsy. I can't remember
Pine coning, I think they called it, but I don't know what the disease is. But
yeah, so you watch it, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I've heard of people calling vets, but I don't know what they can really do, to be honest.
No, except take your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice
but that's what I got.
Nice yellow tang in there. Do you have 2 tangs? One in this tank, one in the other tank?
Yeah, I have 1 tang in each tank. I mean, I find it kind of hard to keep a system without one.
Yeah.
I catch a lot of flack for the Tang and the 40 breeder for sure. It's my most common comment on the, media
Yeah.
I put out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is what it is, I mean.
Well, I've been in the hobby 11 years. This is the 11th year, and I got my first yellow tang a couple months ago, and I love it. And it's in a 90 right now.
Yeah, they definitely do their job picking
Yep.
at the rocks, and
Oh yeah.
I think I've had both of these for about 4 or 5 years. So
Very nice. Wait, I gotta put the orange glasses on. See what I can see here.
yeah, forgive me, I don't have any lenses or anything. I know it's
No,
kind of hard
no,
to see.
that's fine. Actually, that reminds me, I have a giveaway to do in a couple of minutes. Wow, thanks for the close-ups, because with the orange glasses on, it works. All you guys who are watching, if you want to put your orange lenses on, it definitely changes things.
Actually, I do have a pair of glasses. Maybe I can hold the glasses in front, right?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Kind of just figured that out recently. Try that out. There we go.
Yeah, Ugly Man's. Oh, hey, Ugly Man's. I don't know if I said hi to you before. Yellow tangs are special now. Yeah, I guess Hawaii's closed up again. Oh, look at that. Okay. That makes a difference. Cool.
Oh, my lights are about to go out here.
All the colors look great.
This looks a little more yellow than it does in person, but it's definitely better than the blue previous.
It always amazes me about the blue, because when you look at it, you can see all the colors, but as soon as it's on a camera, it all just goes blue.
Yeah, it looks like trash. This is close. This is closer to what I'm seeing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It still looks better actually in person, I would say. But
I think it always will. I don't have the funds to buy the type of camera that will capture it as it actually is.
see how the X Seahorse tank looks.
Love that Gorgonian. Looks good.
Yeah, it's starting to grow down, basing
Yeah.
out a little bit. So hopefully it's there to stay. I know a lot of people struggle with them.
I do. Different types. My Corky Sea Finger, you can't kill that thing. I've already fragged it once majorly. And it's just, I don't know. The only thing that seems to affect it is green hairy mushrooms, and all it does is close up on the side of it that's touching them.
But yeah, there's the infamous tang. I still got some work to do gluing these A cans down. Some of them are rocking around, but
Love the flow in there.
yeah,
But
definitely.
that tank does not look outsized for that tank.
He kind of just heads into the flow and swims into the flow all day.
Yeah.
He doesn't really like pace around or anything. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's hiding from me now because I got my phone up, in its face, but kind of usually just faces into the flow and swim,
Yeah. The clownfish looks bigger than the tang.
Yeah, he's pretty, or she's pretty big. I think she's about 4 years old. That's what I got. Hopefully, I'm a little worried about the fresh PVC glue.
Oh,
I only was able to wait maybe 2 hours before I ran water through it.
Yeah.
So I'm a little nervous about that. I added some extra carbon.
Yeah. It won't affect it curing, will it? Like it won't leak because of that?
No, I'm just worried about any chemicals leaching into the water, but
Yeah.
it doesn't appear I have any leaks.
Oh, Taryn had to leave because her battery died. Sorry to hear that, Taryn.
All right, Cindy. Well, thanks for letting me stop in.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time, given what you've been through today. And, the community out here, we feel for you.
I appreciate it.
Looks like you got her back, so hopefully it'll be good going forward.
Yeah, I'm just worried I'm gonna wake up to some STN or something, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, our worst nightmare, something like that. And hopefully it never happens to anybody at all, but let alone when they're maybe away from home. That's the worst. Oh dear. Filipino, his phone. Benny, your phone broke. Oh, geez. That's not good. What else have we got in the chat here? Talking about this room got a 1099 from PayPal. I don't know what that is. Is that like a tax document? Well, I can show you a few more pictures until we see if anyone else wants to pop in. Let me know if you want the link. I guess I should check my phone and see if anyone's asked for it. Nope. I will put the banner up so you guys can see it. Here we go. What else have I got to show you here? Oh, I know what I should do. Since Benny's here, and I don't know if Tony Close is here or whether he's going to stop by at some point. But I had another kind of, oh, hey, Petsotics, multiple aquariums. ReefGrrl, I had spaghetti worms in my reef tank. That is bad. I wouldn't say it's bad. I had a problem with them because there were so many of them. They were starting to kill my zoanthids by curling up around them and irritating them to the point where they would not open. So that's why I removed them, because they were just out of control. But they're good detritus eaters. They're a very good cleanup crew. And the population will get larger and smaller according to what the available food supply is. So I wouldn't say they're bad. Oh, hey, Fletcher, right. Okay, so we had a hidden giveaway in this week's reminder video. So I know there were quite a few views this week, so that's good. And the prize was, or is, the Orphec cell phone lenses. I'm not going to open the box because this is an unopened box. The seal is still on it. And all you had to do was send me an email to the email address and put the word mysterious in the subject line. Oh, look, there's Alex. I'm going to bring Alex in so he doesn't have to wait out there while we do the thing. He's walking. Hey, Alex.
Hey.
Going to do the giveaway.
All right. Well, I'm just going to mute here for a second. I got to put a couple little shims on.
All right. So I like to do that because there's another banner I'm going to put up here. So you guys, just so you guys know, I didn't have enough time to say this in the video because I wanted to keep it short. Oh, hey, Tina. Happy Saturday. Okay, let me start over here. So I like doing these giveaways, and a lot of times they're things that I've been sent to review or just as a bonus as part of an order. And last year, Orphec sent me a whole bunch of these because I did a review on the OR2, the bar lights, because I love them so much. I've been using them for over 2 years now, and they're awesome. They're on the 90 right now. I plan to incorporate them into a perimeter lighting system on the 300 when it's up. So when I ordered my lights, they also sent me this. This is their Azure Light flashlight. There's 2 flashlights in this box, and I haven't opened either one of them. I've opened the box to see what's in it, but the product inside has not been opened. So I haven't used them, but they have Cree LEDs in them. One of them is blue for checking coral feeding response at night and things like that. You can read up on them if you're interested. So I had this giveaway in the reminder video for today's stream, and I usually put these things at the end of the video as a reward for watching the whole video. And I won't ever ask you to subscribe or like or comment or do anything, because these giveaways are like kind of like a thank you from me to you. And I really enjoy doing them. So I had 2 entries. So I know a lot of people probably were aware of the giveaway, and I made a mistake because I did not say that you don't have to be present on the live stream to win. And I should have said that. And my apologies. I'll make up for it in a future giveaway. But because I only had 2 entries, I am going to award one of these to each entrant. Okay. And the 2 entries were Filipino reefer, Benny. So congratulations, Benny. And Tony Close, UK Reef. And congratulations, Tony. So Benny, because you entered first, it was like really early this morning, just very shortly after the video was published, I'll give you your choice of which one of these you want. And just send me an email. You can tell me right now if you want. And I'll send the other one, whatever you don't choose, I'll send to Tony Close UK Reef. And Tony, if you end up with the flashlights and it's not something you want, then I'll make arrangements to get you shipped the lenses. Okay. So lots of choice there. You guys let me know what you think. And everybody, this is my pledge to you. I will never ask anything of you. If you want to enter the contest, you enter the contest. You don't have to be a subscriber or any of that stuff. It's just for fun. Okay. So that's done. Congratulations, Tony and Benny. That's wonderful. I know you guys will love it. Oh, Death Mage. Wow, that's cool. Nice to see you. Lots of people showing up lately. From the old days, Ugly Man's Reefing. Yep. It was open to international people. That is what I said. One of the things I said in the video was that it's worldwide and I pay the shipping because that's part of the giveaway. So any of these giveaways that I have are always worldwide. I'm in Canada, so I really hate it when giveaways are limited. I know postage is expensive, but it's just part of the deal, right? So yeah, anyway, awesome. Let's see what else we got in here. Congrats to the winner. Red Sea. You're talking about fish. Yeah. I want a Desjardins tang, a Red Sea Desjardins. And I'm willing to wait however long it takes for the fish store to get one and quarantine it for me. We got Nat King Reef is still here. Tina's Reef. Lynn, now she knows why Filipino Reefer was here first. That's cool. Oh, Alex, there's a question for you. Where you get your water storage containers?
Plastic Mart.
Plastic Mart. Is that like an online store?
Yeah, it's plasticmart.com. I would also suggest looking at Amazon. Every now and then you could find the same, if you know the dimensions of the tank you want, sometimes you could find them there and the shipping's a little more reasonable. Because the skimmer body, I actually got that on Amazon because it was going to save me like 150 or 200 bucks in shipping.
Yeah.
So it was the exact same tank I wanted from Plastic Mart. It just, there happened to be one on Amazon with the same exact dimensions and drawings and manufacturer.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought of looking on Amazon, although I will say we looked for Rubbermaid, the big ones that we got on Amazon, but there was no Prime available with free shipping. It was all tanks.
Yeah,
ridiculous amounts of.
They don't put that on there. I just ordered 2 more water storage tanks from them this week, so we'll see. They need to be delivered on a lift gate in a truck though. So
Yeah. as big as a man. That's the size of them, right?
They are 250 gallons apiece. So, and I got 2 of them.
Wow. I thought
So-
ours was big and it's 125, but it did fit in the back of the Kia. It's like as if it was made for it.
Yeah, and I got ones that are more specialized. They're called doorway tanks. So
Yeah.
they're only 29 inches wide. So
Yeah.
we'll see how accurate their measurements. They should clear the door and make it down the stairs, although they are large. They're 29 inches wide, 42 inches tall, and 62 inches long.
Wow.
So
Well, you have a pretty big landing from the looks of it. Like
yeah,
the way you turn.
yeah, they should make the turn. Maybe a little bit of lifting. They only weigh, I think they weigh 115 pounds a piece is what it says, which isn't too bad for something that size.
Hey, gravity will help you there.
Yeah, and they don't break as easily as glass. So
Yeah, exactly. Alex G, where are you at? Petsotics Multiple Aquariums is asking.
I am in the Chicagoland area. So Illinois.
Yeah, they're talking about coral and fish. You can't get exported Red Sea coral legally. Would have to apply for an education and research grant or something, I imagine. Yeah. Oh no. Lynn said her 200-gallon didn't fit the door. That's why they're in the garage. Yeah, that makes sense. Ricardo Fuentes.
Yeah, they if they're just barely too big, you can encourage them through the doorway with a sledgehammer, or just brute force ramming them, but just don't go with them down the stairs.
Well, I would think like olive oil down the sides. Wouldn't that help?
It
Or
might.
white grease, maybe. Although the cleanup might not make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I had to kick the protein skimmer a few good swift times to get it through.
Petsotics is in the Chicagoland area. That's funny. It's amazing. Small world. Ricardo Fuentes has a question about high pH. And Diacanthus is talking to him about that. Wow. Really alkaline. Or basic, I guess. So you're using a pH meter to test it. I tried.
I missed it. I was reading it a second time, but
Sorry. Sorry.
Tested in a pH meter and it's fine. Even if it, because what I would ask is if the nano being measured with the same pH probe.
Yeah, if you're using one of those handheld things, if that's what you mean, or I'm not aware of.
Yeah, just whatever it is, or have someone independently, like an LFS or somebody, or use a different kit just to be sure, because it's right at the top of the range that it could really go to. I would ask, are you dosing Kalkwasser in the tank? That will.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Diacanthus was asking him. He's using an algae scrubber for 18 hours.
I don't know if you reduced light, that would definitely drop it a little. But I guess what I would ask is, even with it, we're saying it's at 8.69. What are the corals doing that there's a concern about it? Is there stuff not looking good or dying? Or has it been running this way for a while?
Yeah, he's using a handheld digital. Yeah. I think Salifert pH tests are pretty inexpensive. It's probably worth picking one up. just to cross check and see what you get. And I mean, they're not all that precise. You know, the ranges are pretty broad, but I'm sure you'd be able to tell the difference between an 8.1 and an 8.6 in their color coding.
Well, so it's a handheld meter. I think that's what I saw, right?
Yep. Yep.
Aquiforest, 1, 2, everything's perfect.
Well, you could just not check your pH and solve that problem.
That would be my thing, is that's one of those things where everything looks perfect. I would be really nervous about trying to do anything.
Put the pH meter away and maybe forget about it for a while.
Well, when you are using the pH meter, are you dipping it directly in the water, or are you taking a water sample in a cup and dipping the meter in that?
Yeah, that would make a difference. Because if you dip the water, if you get the cup and you breathe in it, all of a sudden you got CO2 going. Is that CO2? Yeah, CO2 going on.
I don't know exactly how those probes work, but what I would be wondering is, could any kind of stray voltage in the water or thing, because it's an electronic device, could anything like that mess with how they work? I honestly don't know how they read, but
Yeah,
if it's
conductivity, there could be
yeah,
issues.
if there's something to do with that, and there's something in the water that could mess with it.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I think the person that first brought that up was that I heard was Dave's Nanotanks around the time when they started coming out with these dip salinity pens. And that was the issue there. Conductivity, if there's any stray voltage, it'll mess up the reading. So.
Yeah, and I'm just theorizing here, but I would be nervous to do any kind of change if everything looks perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's usually when you don't want to touch anything. And that is probably one of the bigger challenges for reef keepers, is trying to chase that number.
Yep. Or finding something that seems out of line. And I've done this. It happened to me with iodine, where my iodine was testing 0. And I was freaking out because I thought everything was going to die within the next few days. And then I found out that hobby grade tests aren't sensitive enough to detect the levels of iodine that are good in a reef tank, where the correct level is actually less than what the average hobby test will show you. And then I just relaxed about it. And somebody said, put 1 or 2 drops of Lugol's in once a week, and that'll take care of it. Especially like if you do frequent water changes, you won't have that problem. But I don't do frequent water changes where my tanks are right now. And so that's what I've been doing, and everything's looking good. So, yeah, it's hard. He says he dips it directly into the water.
Yeah, try taking a little sample cup or something, and I would do it in both you know, take a sample of the nano cup or nano tank in a little cup, probe it in there and see if what the pH is there, and then take a sample from your main reef tank in a little cup and put it next, you know, don't mix them up, but stick it in there and see if it's still reading that high or not. Because it's just generally, I find with a probe, it depends on the probe and who manufactures it and their recommendations. I'm not too familiar with those. But I'm just trying to think of, why would you be so far? I mean, that's a pretty big swing for 2 tanks in the same house, unless something is impacting the test.
Yeah. Hey, MKP Leo Levon, welcome. He tests his in the tank, and he says his Hannah checker shows his pH 7.9 to 8.2 when I check it in my tank. Yeah, they have one of those meters as well. Those pen things for pH. Cool. Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and the reason I'd say to try and change the method of testing is just to eliminate things being a potential for interference.
Yeah.
Not to say it actually is. I mean, the pH could be that high, but then again, if it's that high and nothing's wrong, then I wouldn't try to change it. I'd say
No,
that
and
much.
I guess you could also check your source water, because who knows? I mean, if you live in an area that has a lot of artesian wells that the water comes through limestone or something like that, you just don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if that matters.
Well, I guess just thinking about it that way is why would one tank in the same space test that much? I mean, it could be if there's just a lot of people around or something.
Yeah.
Main display in
CO2
this TV room.
So CO2 scrubber in the one in the bedroom, main display where the windows are open, and
Could be that too. So well, here's a thought on it as well is take a cup of the sample water. So if you try testing it in a cup and out of the tank, something else you could do is take a cup of the water from your other tank and move it into the other room, like switch them.
mm-hmm. And see if it's
You might have to do like a little air bubbler in them or something to circulate the water in like a little cup, and then try testing it and see it. That might tell you might be the room that's impacting it.
Mm-hmm.
It could just be some other fluke going on.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Pat Murphy. Nice to see you. Oh, that's right, Ryan McCallum. You have a new baby. Oh, that's cool. Yep. Sorry. Good idea. Grab water from the main display and test in my nano in my room. I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to let it sit for a while, and stir it up.
Yeah.
They had like a little bubbler or something. That way, you're kind of circulating the air through it. Because if it's the air and the CO2 level impacting the pH that much, you should be able to see that if it's getting aerated and sits there for a little bit.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, it's a mystery. And maybe that's what you learn on your 15th anniversary of keeping reef tanks is pH really is something not to measure.
I don't even test it.
Well, I like to keep an eye on it because it does have an impact, but whether the impact is worth, like whether the extra growth that you get from higher stable pH, stable is what matters. If it's higher stable and you get extra growth and that matters to you, is it worth all the effort you put into it? Is the question that I grapple with all the time.
Yeah, and I'll take it back on that. I didn't test it. I just used my probe last time and I watched it, and I think it'd get up to about 8.0 is about the highest I ever had my pH.
Yeah.
And I did mess around a little bit with trying to raise it with Kalkwasser, and I was pulling in external air, but I never was able to do something big enough to swing it a bit. And then I don't have a desire to use CO2 scrubbing media.
No, it gets used up too fast.
Yeah, and like I will be getting a CO2 meter this time around, and I'm probably going to watch it more than I have in the past.
Yeah.
Can bacteria alter your pH value? One more. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whatever's gotta be done with it.
I could see the ventilation, because even that in relation to displacing CO2 is going to impact the pH. Yeah, I've done all kinds of things to try and bump my pH in the Red Sea tank. I've got a video about all the different things that I did. And it took several things. But what finally took it over the top, I believe, was Aquachar. And I am using that stuff in the new system. I've got canisters of it downstairs set aside. I'm using it right now in the 90. Don't know what the pH is, but everything's growing like gangbusters. And it's in a closed small room with poor ventilation, so I do as much as I can to ripple like for the surface. All the power heads are aimed up, especially after losing all my fish. And I have not, as I said, I haven't checked the pH, but everything's looking good. So maybe it's the Aquachar. I don't know. It's in a canister, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and see how CO2 levels can be impacted to see if I can move the pH that way this time around. But
yeah,
my last house, it just, even though I was doing ventilation and pulling outside air, it just, I never could do anything to really move that pH. And then with the corals doing well, I was kind of like, do I really want to mess with this type of thing?
yeah.
If I had a high pH and things are looking good, I'd be ecstatic if I could get a pH up at like 8.4, 8.5.
Yeah. Mermaid's Reef. I only know mine because I have my probe on the apex, but I went 7 years without even testing pH.
Yeah,
See that.
And you use RODI water and a good salt mix. I mean, you're gonna have a acceptable pH range.
Yeah. And I guess that's the thing. If you're in a situation where you know there are a lot of factors that are going to negatively affect the pH, maybe that's the time to try and do some work with it. But if you're in a situation where you've already got all of the positive factors going for you, you know the CO2 is not a problem because you've got fresh air, you've got good surface gas exchange, you're bringing air in from outside into the skimmer, whatever. I used to do the bubble scrubbing. I had a bubbler in my sump, like all of that stuff. So if you're doing all that, it's only going to be good for the pH. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be toying around with the idea of a natural CO2 scrubber in the form of plants, maybe down here if I need it.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, I've been doing a little research into like what kind of plants pull the most CO2, and I'm kind of thinking about getting a species of bamboo.
Oh yeah,
because they grow really fast. At least some of them do.
You can cut holes in the floor and get a skylight right up to the second floor.
I don't think my wife would appreciate that part of it. I'll let you pitch that one to her.
I have to float these ideas once in a while so that whatever scaled down version eventually happens will still be what I want, right? 8687. Huh. Yeah. And it's one of those things where they adapt, and also it goes back to stability. If it's stable at whatever it's at, then that's good for whatever is there. Because let's face it, there's only so much we can do realistically.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like if my pH got too high, I would probably not attempt to do anything other than maybe, not pull in as much air or something from the outside. But even then, I'd just look at the corals and I'd be like, if everybody's happy and nothing's going on, then I'd just leave it.
Yeah.
Because that used to be back when I worked in local fish stores, there were a lot of freshwater fish. Some of them wanted a little bit lower pH and stuff, but generally I always told everyone, because they'd want to use, I think it's sodium bicarbonate you can use to lower pH. And I used to tell, like, if it got it too high, I always told people to don't mess with pH down.
Mm-mm.
Do a water change if it got too high or something because you added buffer, but don't try to lower it because that's really it's really dangerous game.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's got to be unique to every environment. And, everybody's fond of saying no two reef tanks are alike. Well, that environment has an impact on the
Yeah.
biological processes that go on, and they're impacted by the chemistry in the water. So once you get that balance, it doesn't really matter as long as you can keep it stable.
Yep.
Yeah, Sean, plants in the fish room. I've got a nice big window in the front here. It faces west, and a fair amount of light comes in late in the day. So I'm thinking of having a couple of plants. Yeah, Alex, spider plants are supposed to be pretty good for CO2 exchange.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll mess around with some different types, but because what I'm thinking is I'm gonna put them around my refugium area. Because someone I was talking with, they're like, "Yeah, but you gotta spend money to power lights to give them light." And I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I'll just use a refugium light and spill over whatever on them, and
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, Tony Close. So, Tony, you were one of the winners of the giveaway. I had two winners because I had two entries. And Benny sent me an email, and he's going to take the lenses. So, Tony, we can talk, but if you're watching, I have these really cool Orphec Azure Light flashlights. These things are high end, they're hefty, they're using 5-watt Cree LEDs. And yeah, so they can be yours. And if you'd prefer not to have those, you and I can talk and we'll make some arrangement to get you the lenses. So congratulations. Thank you for entering. And Benny too. That's cool. Okay, sorry.
you're good. I did add tile to the bottom of my tank.
Oh, cool. And how did that go? Did you have to cut any in specific sizes or?
Yeah, I had to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tiles. So
And
wasn't too bad.
you said they're stone?
Yep,
What
they're
are they?
travertine.
Travertine. And they're genuine travertine. That's cool. So it's a type of marble, is it?
It's like a marbly limestone type of stuff. It's not all the way to marble. It's softer than standard limestone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I thought about it because if it works well in here, I'm going to do this in my display tank. On
Okay,
the bottom.
so the debate we always have around here every time we think about using something in the reef tank is what is it going to leach into the water? So when we talk about, the rock that we use and everything else, have you looked into what the status is of that stuff? Like whether salt water is going to corrode it or anything like that? Oh, it's translucent.
No, that's
No.
just my light here. No, it's not translucent. It's porous, is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a form of limestone. There's not, it's basically like it's calcium carbonate. Murphy got it the best way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use it for frag tiles, and
okay, yeah.
I was doing some research to see if anyone's had ill effects, and one person reported they had a high amount of tin, but they weren't sure if that was it or if it was something else. But one thing I will say on these tiles I found out, if you're going to look at them, is they all had a UPC sticker on the back of them. Every single one of them.
Oh.
The UPC stickers are metal backed.
Uh-huh.
I razor bladed off every single one of them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one thing I would say is don't leave stickers on things.
Mm-mm.
A lot of like a little label sticker is usually not a bad thing, but those were metal backed and they did not come off easily. So I think
Yeah.
I think I removed a layer of stone. Yeah, Murphy's got it there for frag tiles.
Yeah. Well, here,
So.
he's got a hint for you. They also may have a lubricant from the cutting process. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but no, the whole tank's going to get, I'm going to put it all RODI in here anyways. So they'll get, they got a soak and a rinse, but we'll see. The tank's going to be running with just RODI in it for a few weeks.
Mhm.
So, and I'll probably dump a bunch of it out and refill part of it too once I'm ready to put salt in it. But yeah, so
Cool.
if it works good in here, it will go into the main displays. Although I think what I'm going to do is get some like Marco mortar or something and mix it with some sand and cover up all the tiles so it doesn't look like there's a grid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But-
Yeah, that Marco stuff is really easy to work with. I really like it. That's why I bought more, because it holds up overhangs without any problem at all once it's set. But you have to leave it to set.
yeah. No, I'll be toying around with plenty of that when I start aquascaping. But that seems like it's far away right now.
Mine's not. Once the pardon me, once the electrician comes and goes on Monday, I can set up my 2 tables side by side, lay out my paper template that I used in my video about let's get started, and start laying out my aquascape. And my plan is to make it modular. I think I was talking about this last week. So it's going to be a challenge, because when I was looking at the rocks, I thought, I don't have any medium-sized rocks. I've got the big rocks that are rough, like a little smaller than a football. And I have little feet from 2 little fishies, and I have little rocks. And little rocks are basically frag rubble. Little feet are a little bit bigger. But when you start stacking those things up, they're going to make great arches. And that's what I want to make from them. And I can put all kinds of little outcroppings for Euphilia and SPS and all that kind of thing. So it's going to be a real challenge to get what's in here out into the rock, because I don't know how that stuff's going to behave. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I don't know how I'm going to make an arch and then be able to submerge it in salt water with a heater and a power head to start curing it. Will I have to do it in 2 pieces? Don't know yet. Will I be able to fit one and lay it down in like all of this stuff? I don't know yet. So I'm kind of glad that I have the 6-week period for the tank to be built, although I wouldn't mind if it went a little longer, so that I have a little more time for the rock to cure, because it's going to be a challenge. I'll be down there the rest of this week trying to put things together and just see how it all looks and build my fish condos at the back. And yeah, I have my heaters. Look at that. 4 of them, 50 watts. They're cheapos from Amazon, $23.99. I'm not going to kill anything if they fail. So it's just going to be bacteria. We got all the GFCIs and everything else. So I felt for under $100, I got enough heaters to do everything I need to do. And then I don't care if they work or not. And here's what 50 feet of Spaflex looks like. That's a pretty big, heavy box. So yeah, we're making progress. There was plumbing done today, and my husband connected the 2 water mixing totes, the 265 gallons, although nothing's glued yet. And he put a tap in the bottom of the 125 so that I could decant RODI water if I wanted to in a bucket on the floor underneath. He used the bulkhead that came with it, and it started to leak as soon as the water got to that level. And it turns out it had split. It's one of those soft gray ones that comes with it. And he didn't realize that. So like, he's new to all of this. So we ordered a 3/4 inch thread to go in there. So hopefully it'll come tomorrow, and we'll be able to carry on, because making salt water is the next big step, so that I can start putting water into the stock tanks and see what I can get running.
Yeah, I just finished plumbing up the water storage tanks together, the ones I have. So
Yeah.
So I wanted to plumb them together the way they were in the last house, and there was a couple things missing, and I still, for the life of me, have no idea what happened to the lid of one of my water storage tanks. I could have sworn I packed it, but I ripped the house apart in all my aquarium boxes, and after like an hour of searching, I was like, you know what? This is really bothering me, but I have to stop this.
Yeah. Well, if it was me, I'd be going, when I packed, oh, there's a little void this thick in a box. I would have slid it right down in there.
It might be
never be able to find it.
It might be in a box like that somewhere. We'll find out. I ordered a new one.
That's when you'll find it. When the new one arrives.
Why are you stealing those? I like it.
Yeah. Oh, Diacanthus is wondering if you have a bottom style plan in mind.
A bottom style.
Hey, Tyler D. You mean with the
elaborate, like sand or
like a diamond pattern, or like 1/3 offset?
No, they're not doing any of that fancy stuff. It'll be grid lines, but it's gonna. That's why I want to use some mortar and sand and mix it in there, because the reef tank will have sand in it.
Mm-hmm.
Although I cannot guarantee that the sand will stay in all of it because of the amount of flow that I'm planning. So that's part of the reason I wanted to go with tile. So if it blows the sand away, it still has a nice natural base to it.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
the bottom, if we're talking construction, it's going to be 2 1/4 inches thick of plywood, and then pond armor, and then probably 2 layers of fiberglass. So then on top of that, I am considering putting a layer of pond liner down,
mm-hmm.
and then tile on top of that. So it's going to be pretty heavy duty.
Wow. Yeah, Mermaid's Reef, that happens to me all the time, that stuff. Diacanthus said encrusted SPS, encrusted LPS acro sponges. I'm assuming that's what he meant about the bottom.
For the bottom.
Yeah.
I might let some of that stuff go on the bottom there. I'm not sure yet. The way I'm kind of planning out things with lighting and everything is that there will be light that makes it to the bottom, but I'm going to kind of use a similar strategy to the last tank of I don't need to put like a million lights on the tank, because I don't plan on I don't have to grow corals everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I could pretty much guarantee right now that the whole reef tank's not going to be lit at once, because there's just no purpose in putting that amount of light on something that I can't fill with coral.
Mm-hmm.
So I might take my time and putting lights up. So we'll see.
And the other thing is lighting technology is changing so fast right now that you
Yeah.
could throw a whole whack of money at something that looks really promising, only to find out that the next version of it is even better. And I mean, that always happens anyway,
Yeah.
but if you take your time, then it gives you an opportunity to try different things out too, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll probably get some more reef brights for the big fish tank, and probably some just to cover over or fill in on the display tank for the reef area too.
Yeah. Well, good night, Hector. Thanks for stopping by. You're going to need an AFC 1200 power rocket booster thrust power head. You're going to need bigger.
There's a reason that I'm going to buy a 3D printer and start making my own power hats.
Wow. That's dedication.
Well, it's honestly, I really do feel that for the amount of money a power head costs today, that the cost of that power head does not have anything to do with the materials they're putting into it necessarily. It is about the gallons per hour of flow that you receive out of it that impacts the price.
Because of the magnets or the
No, I think
impeller?
I think that is the marketing for it. Is that
Oh, right.
you want a 4,000 gallon per hour pump? Well, they're about $400.
Yeah. You want 5,000? They're $500. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it seems to go that way a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it does seem kind of ridiculous.
Well, and there just reaches, some of the pumps I've been considering are beyond my budget. And I look at them and I just go, there is no way I'm paying that much money for that.
Mm-mm. No.
Especially when I understand how it's being built, because the manufacturers basically are telling you in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Well, I never thought I would think about getting gyres, but I'm seriously thinking about trying the new MaxBect, the jump gyres, because they're not as pricey. They look like the design is more basic. I only have to push water 5 feet. So
I love the 250s I have. I can't wait to get them running in this frag tank again.
Yeah, and they've been reliable for you?
I never had a problem with them. Yeah. They do get dirty, but they'll still push water. They won't push as much. Mm-hmm. But I found the best thing with mine was I just left them alone.
Yeah.
And gave them a cleaning here and there, and then tried not to overly mess with them. They were put on 100% random flow, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the underneath them made a really nice pulling flow, which is where I had all the LPS in that tank. Mm-hmm. But then on the other side, it made a really chaotic wide flow as everything got mixed up, and that's why I liked them.
Yeah.
So I'm planning to use a mix of gyres and propeller pumps. So
that's what I'll be doing. It worked so well to have the two little high doors on the sides of the Red Sea tank, halfway up the glass on the side, aimed down and towards the back, and that flow wrapped right around those rocks I had around the center overflow. And when I took that thing apart, I was shocked at how clean the sand was everywhere, including behind those rocks. And that was the only source of flow, was those two little alternating power heads on either side. And as long as I kept them aimed at the correct angle to the back and down, it just worked like a charm. So that's kind of what I'm going to try and do this time as well. Because if I build my big fish caves at the back, there will be a requirement for some sort of flow through there. And so I'll probably do the same kind of thing. Yeah.
So I see there's a question. What do you think about Marine Pure?
Yeah, I used it once. I probably won't again because it crumbled to bits. So
Are you talking about those blocks?
yeah, and now they make spheres as well. I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
The spheres might be maybe less inclined to that. I'm not sure. And Taryn was asking about those earlier too. You just have to keep detritus out of them because if they get clogged up, they just become nitrate factories. I don't know.
Yeah, I've never used them before, so can't really speak to them.
Yeah, I just know that my sump was an awful mess when I had the blocks. It's partly my fault because I used them as a skimmer stand. And so, yeah, another weird little project. But the bottom of the skimmer had legs on it, and the legs dug in. And of course, moving my skimmer around didn't help because it made gouges in them. And the edges all slowly fell apart. So you pick it up and a piece would come off in your hand. Like it was, I really didn't like the mess that they made. I think they did a great job with what they're supposed to do, but they did not, they were just messy and it wasn't good in the sump. And if that grainy stuff gets into the pump, then that's bad news. Grab an oil tanker. Jeez. Wonder where you get that.
Yeah, that propeller might be a little bit too large.
You might need its own room. My gyre is loud.
I won't lie though, like I have seriously been going into YouTube and other websites to learn about like commercial ship and military propeller designs and how the hydrodynamics and flow patterns work in them, because the people that spend millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars on that technology are the ones that know what they're doing generally.
Yeah. And if you can scale it down.
Oh yeah, and with a 3D printer, you could basically make any of it if you take the time.
Yeah. Gyres are great. Carlos is not great. Okay. Yeah, I guess you gotta look at the customer service end of it too. Yeah,
gyres, mine were never too loud. Every now and then, like when I'd first clean them, if the rotors weren't, if you didn't balance them out and kind of keep them floating on the bearings so where they weren't rubbing, they would make some noise. But I found that if they did, it would kind of go away. But I'm not a good person to ask questions about, is something quiet? Because I don't care if my tanks are loud. I actually find the sound soothing. So
yeah, I feel the same. I don't require my tanks to be silent, and I agree with you. The sounds they make, and I was saying earlier about my husband suggesting a video on the sounds that your reef tank makes. And what do they mean? What's a good sound? What's a bad sound? What's a catastrophic sound? You know, that kind of thing. And with that Red Sea tank, I could tell walking by the room exactly what was going on and the various beeps that there were. After a while, it becomes almost comforting. And you notice when they're missing. So that's another clue, is something you have to go and look at.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because when I go to the Abyss pump, I'll be interested to kind of hear how loud it is. Just because I've been running Reflow hammerheads for so long. There's like a low level hum that they have in the house. Yeah. My last house, like I would be sitting in the main floor and I knew the pump was running, it never really bothered me, but I knew it was running.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I there are always sounds like crackling is really bad. Crackling's bad. Water hitting the floor is bad.
Uh-huh. It has a very specific sound. Yeah.
Yes, it does have a very specific sound. Odd drips or creaking, like whooshing sounds that aren't expected. That's bad. A pump cavitating.
What does that, okay, what sound is that? And is that air that gets trapped inside that causes that?
Well, so there's a couple ways to look at it. With standard aquarium pumps, I look at that cavitation as it's sucking air in there. But I think the truer definition of it is that if you spin something up fast enough, it'll literally start to crack air bubbles off of it, and that's like a true cavitation.
Mm.
But anytime the pump's gasping to try and get going, and it's just sitting there, churning on air, and it's like,
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
those are the type of sounds I tend to look for. And beeping is usually not a good sign either.
And all the different types of beeping that there are.
Or
after
quiet.
a while, or quiet. Yeah.
Quiet's bad too.
Yeah. F blocks and balls. Take a hammer to dry rock and dump it. Hey, if it's the right kind of rock.
Yeah, I'm more in that category too, where I've never really used that stuff. Yeah.
Honestly, I think it came about because of nanotanks. Because when you have a large enough area to put regular rock, you don't need that. Or a minimalist aquascape. If it, like my Red Sea tank, of all the rock I had in there, 50 pounds of it was Texas holy rock that has no biological filtration capability. So I supplemented that with biomedia in the sump, but I used the matrix, the little pebbles and Siperax. And Siperax has been around for decades. It's really popular in Europe, and that stuff is amazing. And it doesn't collect detritus the same way as any other type of media that I've seen. And when I cleaned the canister filter today, did you see this picture? Let's show everybody the picture who just came in. Here are the sponges that go to the Fluval 406 today. I know, isn't that awful? Should I be embarrassed about that? Oh, it's just horrible.
Here's the bigger question for you. Those were all in there and you removed them all at once?
Yes, but the canister is full of biomedia. I know what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's full of biomedia.
No, that's what I was like,
Yeah. Whatever was on there smelled dead.
Okay. That's usually not a good sign.
No. The tank itself didn't smell. There wasn't any of that. But when I opened that thing up, there's been a lot going on in that tank with removing all the algae, and it gets sucked into the filter and then it goes in there and rots. And it was long overdue for a cleaning. So I'm going to try and see if I can actually get it back to where it looks like a sponge. But I replaced them and it's all good. And I always rinse the media in tank water so that I don't lose the bacteria while I'm doing the clean. But the thing is, the Siperax that's in the baskets that I have in there, it doesn't collect gunk the way any of the other media does. And so the stuff works. So getting back to what we're talking about, I really think that the sort of minimalist aquascapes and the smaller tanks with maybe heavier bioloads, that's where this biomedia comes in handy because it's compact, but it has a lot of surface area and it's really useful. I think that's kind of how things have come along for me. This tank that I'm building now will probably have the most live rock of any tank, just, on a per gallon basis, because it's all going to be actual rock and not weird stuff that I just decided to use.
Yeah, well, I am, once I get this all kind of running, I've decided I am going to buy one small shipment of live rock and live sand again. So,
Yeah.
and just use the same way I did before as getting,
Yeah. That worked so well for you. The stuff that came out of that was pretty great. Oh, that's interesting. It is noisy underwater. If you put your phone underwater and do a video, it's quite interesting how you can hear all the power heads and everything else.
Oh yeah. Oh, even in the ocean, I've been in there, and I got the opportunity once, to where there were humpback whales calling. Lots of them.
Wow.
And it is very loud underwater when they're going. But then you could also hear the boat propeller from the boat that's a mile away.
Yeah.
So can't compete sound wise. Don't have that experience, but I would have guessed that you are correct. It does not compete.
Just looking at the chat here. Look at this. Tyler D. Oh, so true. Have to set 4 alarms to wake up in mornings, but when my ATO starts beeping, I can hear it from 3 rooms away in my sleep. Ain't it the truth?
Yeah, and that's why I always, well, and I haven't really done it here yet because there's nothing to really do it with, but that used to be my routine when I got up in the morning before I'd go to the office. I'd go and do a walkthrough of the tank. I'd walk in the fish room, I'd look at all the equipment, I'd go walk behind the tanks, and and then when I came home, I did the same thing. And sometimes I get yelled at saying, "Hey, you didn't say hello to your wife. You just walk downstairs. What's going on there?"
Doing your rounds.
Yeah, and that's just what it is. Like, well, let me go just check on everybody, make sure everybody looks okay and is doing good, and then, Yeah, it was funny in the townhouse, though, when we had the temp tank going with the protein skimmer, it was kind of bad because the sound of the water discharging from the skimmer was so relaxing that every time we'd sit down on the couch, we'd be falling asleep from the soothing sound of the water.
Well, this is why people have water features, right? That sort of trickling of water is definitely one of those kind of instinctive, ancient sounds, I guess. Dog crying and any reef beeping gets me up real quick. Yep, so true. And the ATO only runs out at 3 a.m. and you get that huge, loud gurgle. I have experienced that exact situation. Yep.
Yeah, it will not be quiet in this fish room. I know that much. So
yeah,
there's going to be a dehumidifier down here that I still got to order, and then with all the other overflows and stuff going, it's going to be loud down here.
Yeah.
The main displays actually might be a little more quiet. We'll see.
Well, I guess the canopy helps too.
Yeah. Well, there'll be a nice canopy on it, and then I have decided that the return pipe there will be one return outlet on one side of the tank and the overflows on the other. So that way all the water has to pass through most of the tank in order to get to the overflow.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I actually I've talked about surging. I want to try and do some power head movement so that I can have water hitting rocks and making wave noises. I know that sounds crazy, but I guess as kind of an alternative to that, I seriously thought about getting one of those white noise things that sounds like waves and just playing it in the room. So when you walk in, you hear gentle sounds of waves.
Well,
Because
are you gonna have any rocks coming right up to the surface?
I haven't decided. I might. And I don't, the Euro bracing is going all around the outside. The drawings did not show bracing going across the center. So I could have sort of the fish caves at the back kind of come up out of the water a little bit, because they're not going to be right against the back panel, the overflow. They're going to be forward a little bit to leave that space for the fish to go through. So I had kind of thought about, maybe building a small outcropping and, aiming a pulsing power head right at it, but it would have to be a really slow pulse because, like something going boinga, boinga, boinga isn't going to do it for me. So then I thought, why not try something at the front of the tank, shooting towards the back of the tank on a slow pulse to throw up some waves. But then I thought, do I want to be cleaning salt spray off the underside of my lights every other day? So, it's still all swirling around in my head. I don't yet know what I'm going to do. We'll see what I can figure out.
See, you got my gears turning on how to make water on rocks noise without those problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So you could get a pump, put it on a timer, or if you have a controller, control it to where it turns on for a few minutes once an hour or something.
Yep.
And just have it pull water from the tank, raise it up above, and then drop it straight down. But when it drops it, have it fall partially, but then use like a larger cylinder, and then have that kind of resting up above on the rocks, so that when it hits the rocks, it makes the noise, but it doesn't create spray.
Or I could grow some sort of emergent vegetation on the rocks, but then I wouldn't get the noise. So I don't know. It just might be too crazy.
Or that noisemaker might not be a bad way to go either.
And who's going to know if somebody looks at it and they see rocks with water lapping up against them? How are they going to know that that's not what it is, right? Or if I can get some sort of a wave maker that does this, the 7 wave cycle thing, a little wave, 6 little waves, and then a big wave, that would be cool. Anyway, just an extra added dimension to just, having, instead of just having rippling water, have something a little more interesting. Yeah, exactly.
I thought about a surge tank for my new stuff, but I just don't know if it would really work.
It takes up space, and that's the thing.
It's not like I could theoretically use a tank that I have that won't be part of the system, but the more effective surge devices that I've seen, they have a pretty good vertical drop that they're doing, or a ridiculously large water outlet. And just the design I'm going with, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
I could make the water run, and it'd have to go through a bunch of plumbing, and it'd probably lose some speed, and it won't have a lot of vertical stuff, so it would surge. But I think I'm more inclined to try and get a pump that can be programmed to once an hour or once every 15 minutes or something. Just go to like ultra high speed and kick everything up for a few minutes and then stop.
Yeah. Because I guess what you would end up with is like a bit of a short-term standing wave in your tank, and then it would gradually go back to the normal thing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I'd be very nervous about that. Like I've seen it in plenty of tanks where they put a little standing wave in it, The only thing that ever gets me with that, like on smaller tanks, it's not as big of a thing. But the larger you make that tank and the bigger the wave gets and the more size it has, that wave has got a force of energy that it's hitting
Oh,
the
yeah.
side of the tank with. And it's manipulating how gravity is impacting the force of gravity on all the seams in the tank, and it could lead to vibrations you don't want, or just overly stressing the seams where, I guess a good way to think about it is like a washing machine. If it's just spinning in like a normal cycle,
Yeah.
like it's just on a low speed, like a person could kind of like hold it steady, but if it gets into its really fast cycle with an off balance and starts vibrating, you can't, you could never hope to hold it.
No, exactly. And I think I think it's the oscillation of the water travel that causes the problem, because it when it strikes that wall, that energy gets dissipated. Well, where does it go? It goes sideways and down. So you want that for your flow, but you're right. That's what would worry me so much, is blowing the seams, because all you'd need is that one too many to start weakening it. And because glass does bend, and with continual pounding force on it, you just don't know. Like, so anyway, yeah, I don't know. Has anyone made a tide tank? I thought I saw a video once on a build. Well, I know not a tide tank, but Asa. Remember Asa, Alex, from the streams? He had a surge thing, and it was in his garage on the other side of where his tank was. Do you remember how he did that with the fulcrum? The water would go into this long trough, and then it would
Now I remember that.
balance, and it would come down. It would come surging into his tank. That was so cool.
Yeah,
but he was large scale. That was really big.
Yeah, he had made a box, and then it was like a cantilevered triangle sitting up in there. And once it filled with so much water, it would have enough weight to push down, and it would flush it.
It would empty,
and then when it emptied, it would rock back up. And I don't know if he had a magnet or a spring or just had the counterweight on it right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Now, I have been summoned to take out the little dog, so give me a second. I'm just going to put you on mute while I do this. We have a snowstorm going on, so.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to lose her. Yeah. This might be a good time for the grandson picture of the week, or short video. So he had his first birthday about a week ago. And here he is. Here's what he's doing now. Oh man, I must be a true grandmother, because I get such a kick out of that. So he's mostly walking around now, and he was walking just around the time he turned 1. And now he doesn't even want to hold your hand anymore. He just toddles around everywhere he wants to go. So that makes it really interesting with the little guy. Sorry, just checking my email over here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for indulging me. Yeah, things are going to change forever. His favorite place in his whole house is the tote that I have in the little fish room that's there, full of rock that I'm curing. Look at Alex. He's serious. and there's brown scummy stuff floating on the surface of that tote. And he gets over there and he just wants in the worst way to get his hands in there. So I do the manual skimming thing about once every other day. Just take 4 or 5 cups of water out. I sink a plastic cup down just below the surface, and the water surface pours in along with all this slime. So I am trying to keep control of it, but it is not easy. So I guess there is a big snowstorm going on south of the border. We were supposed to get major weather here, and it turned out to be a pretty nice day yesterday and today. And now for the blizzard report.
I survived.
Oh, how did the dog do?
He's fine. He's in his little coat, which he just ran away. So
Yeah.
come on, you want your pup treat? Come on. You don't get one. You didn't go. Only your brother does.
So which one went out? Gizmo?
No, Kylo. He the new puppy.
Oh,
So
and how's he doing?
he's doing good. He's getting used to snow.
Oh, yeah. So can he keep his head above the snow?
For now, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be a busy day tomorrow over here.
So what do you got planned for tomorrow?
Well, let me flip my camera around. I have got to do my sealer test to see which one will be the winner for sealing the glass into this tank.
Oh, that's right.
So I had to get a new thing, a RTV 108, just a little one, because the old one kind of solidified in the tube. But
Yeah,
that's
I
not
threw it in
surprising.
too,
It was like a partially used tube, and
yeah.
I was kind of wondering that if it would have lasted or not, and it did not. But not surprised.
I think the tube I threw out was actually Marineland aquarium sealant, and I'm pretty sure it was about, I want to say 20 years old. it's one of those things you keep and you put it
Yeah.
somewhere else, and you put it somewhere else, and it gradually turns into a brick. And
Yeah, once it's opened, it just starts working its way back and curing. So it'd been there for a while. So we'll see though which one's gonna do it. If it's gonna be Silicone One, which I doubt.
yeah.
I think it's gonna be a matchup between Black Label and 108. But the real difference in this stuff, and this is why I use it with the Pond Armor, is that you look at here, the very first line it says is sealant is 100% waterproof.
Right.
Adhesive.
Oh, yeah.
This stuff is no joke. It's also FDA approved.
NSF
So
food safe.
yeah, that's why I got this stuff. It's a little bit more pricey, but it is. We'll see how it holds up with this. If we'll see how many pounds of force it takes to pull the pond liner off the glass.
And so are you going to hook up some sort of a strengthometer so that it's a scientific check, or are you just going to see whether it takes 1 feet or 2 feet pulling against the glass to get it off of there?
So I have, and I got to go dig it out, but I have a spring scale I use for measuring drag on fishing rod or fishing reel.
Right.
And when you give it a yank, it's a 50-pound scale. So if I give it a yank, it's got a little marker on it that'll tell you how many pounds of force you have. So that should work pretty good for this, unless all three of them exceed 50 pounds, which I am going to do 2 tests. So I'm gonna pull horizontally, which I do not see being an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm gonna put it perpendicular and try to peel it off.
Right.
And that's the one I'm more interested in, because I know pulling horizontally, I could pull the glass right now. It's not going anywhere. I also have one of these. This is unsanded, and this is sanded.
Okay.
So, I believe sanded's going to give more better adhesion, but I figured why not give it a little test.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I learned an amazing amount about HDPE, LDPE, HLDP, all of the different types of polyethylene. And I'm going to include it in the video about the stock tanks because I kept trying to remember what numbers were the best. Well, number 5 is the best. Number 4 is the second best. Number 2 is okay. But then I found out what makes them different is how they respond to heat. So the problem with LDPE compared to HDPE is that at higher temperatures, that's when it starts to leach. But the higher temperatures they're talking about, we don't get in our reef tanks. Like we're talking about maybe more if you were using it for, I don't know, an outdoor water reservoir for a pool heating system, or you know what I mean? Like the types of temperatures that would be required for the LDPE to start leaching are well beyond what we would ever get in a reef tank. So the stuff's still okay. So it was pretty interesting finding all of that out.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, it's, takes a lot of reading and looking on things to actually understand how they function. And I just started reading a little bit about different types of PEX tubing out there.
Yeah. Yep, it's true with the oxygen barrier versus no oxygen barrier. And then there's the stuff that's insulated with the aluminum shielding between the layers.
I don't want that.
No.
No aluminum.
Hey, Johnny Martinez, good night. I'm glad you came by tonight. Yeah, Jeffrey Hammer says, remember those little boxes of salt from PetSmart Supply had 2 bricked up and now testing for steps porch ice melt. Oh, I always talk about the first and second time I ever tried to use Aquaforest salt when it first came out. And both times I ordered it from Amazon because it wasn't available locally. And it came as a 20-pound brick, 10 kilograms, 22-pound brick. I could not even use a hammer to get a screwdriver into that. It was solid. And so I returned it, and then I got it replaced. But the second one was identical. And the second one had a sticker on it from the warehouse in Florida that it came from. And I thought, okay, so here it is. It's not sealed well enough to withstand the humidity down there. And that's probably why it turned to a brick. And so that's the one and only time I ever even tried it. I couldn't even try it because like, what are you going to do, right? Drop it from, like do a E coyote and drop an anvil on it from a building? Like
hydraulic press.
Yeah, that would do it.
But now I'm gonna test that so I can determine what sealer I need, and then that should be good at that point.
So that's tomorrow.
Yep, and then I bought a bunch of 2x4s.
Yeah.
So
you got some. You can't get those around here. They're everywhere.
So no. Got a whole bunch of 2x4s. I did the first scraping of the 150 with a razor blade today. That was a lot of fun.
Ooh.
Yeah. There's all the junk that's still in there, and whew, yeah, it still smells of vinegar in there. So there's like a layer of vinegar gas in here right now.
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, so I scraped this whole thing out. I just, while your call had, or your stream had started, I got this tank leveled out.
Yep.
And then I am going to put a canopy over this, which I did not keep the canopy I built before, but it rested all its weight on the tank, and I don't want to do that this time. So
Oh, yeah.
this time I'm going to secure the feet or the legs of the canopy to the stand, and then they're going to extend up 75 inches. So I'll have an area up here I could put power and a shelf up here.
Yep.
And that's going to extend out a little bit past so that I got power for the pump and the heater and my auto top off pump and stuff over here if needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have that over here, and then I can get outlets run. I'll probably put 12 outlets over here, which I'll probably never need, but I'll have.
Yeah.
And then this tank will be ready for more cleaning and plumbing.
This is going to be the Mantis tank?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now, because the 720 is not going to be ready, that this might become the refugium for a bit, just so I can start getting the hair algae out of the other tank. Because it's filled right now in the temp tank, and when I move it into that one, it's going to start filling that one with hair algae. So
Yeah.
I'd like to get some urchins and
Mm-hmm.
maybe a fox face or something to deal with it, but I can't do that until I have another place to grow algae. So I can get this tank rigged up for that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it won't hurt anything. So this tank's going to get done for that. This is all plumbed up now. I did change the downspout here just so I don't hook it with my leg and snap it off, because that's not going to be a fun flood.
No.
So got that done. I started organizing some of my plumbing supplies. So I have that. Yeah, not really that done, but it's kind of done.
Well, that's what I did last night. Was I finished. It took 3 nights this week, probably a total of about 11 or 12 hours, to go through all of the boxes that we had moved that I had packed for the fish room way back in the spring when I knew I was taking the tank down. And half of the stuff that's at my daughter's house that we moved when we moved the tank there in case I needed it. And I got all of that stuff put away in cabinets and organized, even down to the point of having different bins for all the different filter parts and plumbing parts that you collect over the years. And it's just astonishing, all of the stuff that.
Oh, that's a long-term goal here.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, we got 1.5 inches, and then big pieces and overflows.
All the awkward stuff.
Miscellaneous. I don't want to go in that box yet. And 3/4, and then everything that's not 3/4 inch.
Wow.
So yeah, I got a little ways to go, but I'm gonna try and get that canopy done tomorrow. Then I'm gonna turn my attention to this. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do something similar. I'm gonna put a little step here that I could put the calcium reactor on, and I'm gonna find a way to mount the UV sterilizer over here. I'm gonna put a board along the back again, but I'm gonna raise it up higher so the plumbing can go underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So
hey, good night, Jeffrey. Thanks for coming by. It's nice to talk to you tonight.
And then I'm gonna do
an ambitious day you got going on there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do a board up the back side here too that's taller, so that I'm thinking on this side I can mount the apex and a couple things, and then the temp controller can go over here too.
Yeah.
So, but then I'll make sure I think I'll do 12 outlets over here too. So, more than I'll probably need, and then once I have this all kind of done up, I'll get wired up to my power boxes here that I got ready for drops,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll probably go ahead and I got to buy my breakers I need still, and then when I get those in, I'll get them wired up for power. So, but yeah, I figure if I can get this all done, I got to order another pump for my skimmer, because I just decided with the last, I still have the old one, but it's one of the DC. Okay, this is a DCP.
Mm-hmm.
This is a DCS.
Yeah. We have
So
the DCSs. I have 4
yeah,
of them.
yeah, this is an older one. They're not quite as efficient, and then the DCP is their newer sine wave one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna get another one of those, and then I got to get one more 15,000, and then I'll probably get a couple more smaller ones so that I could run the UV and the return to the 150, and then I'm gonna buy a return for the 720 right away.
Hmm.
And then the Abyss will be running the frag tank for now.
Right.
So, and then I bought the 2x4s I need to frame this up. So once all this other stuff's done, I'll have to actually like put this stuff away. But the UV sterilizer should be able to go away. These 2 tanks, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. I'm probably gonna sell them. But we'll see. For now, I think
you should, once you get your fish room running, Alex, you should take the frag tank there, the shallow one, and set it up on a stand and hook it up to everything behind the door and tell people that's your tank, and then show them the life support. That would be fun. That'd be fun. That'd be a good video.
it would. I got the 90 out there. I could always, run a piece of fake plumbing to the wall and then say, well, this is the display and this is the support. I honestly think once this is up and running, it will be very interesting, because I could already hear what the heck is in this tank.
And why?
Maybe I'll have a contest. You can have any coral frag you want. You just gotta stick your hand in the tank with the mantis and
wave it
feed
around.
it by hand. So, but yeah, so I'll get that, and then I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna have a need for those tanks, but I'll just hold them for right now, and then same thing with my one HDPE tank here. I don't think I'm gonna need this one anymore. It just doesn't have a place.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see.
But
if I'm not gonna keep it, I'll sell it.
Hey, if you got space in your garage, what's going to happen? One of these days, you're going to go, oh, I want to try this, and that'll be the perfect thing for it.
The sad thing is, as I looked at this and I thought I can make this into a surge tank, but
you could.
I could, but that then the problem of the height and everything. I was thinking I could put it up real high over the water storage tanks up by the ceiling, but that's an awful lot of weight to put on the floor in a vertical space.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. The only other thing with surge tanks I don't like is the bubbles they put into the tank. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but it's true. It's true. And I mean, when the water starts flowing real fast, the bubbles disappear. Bubbles stray bubbles in tanks is a problem I've never, ever had, ever. And I don't know if it's because I had them and I just didn't notice because they didn't bother me, or what. But doing bubble scrubbing, you get up in the morning and there is air trapped on horizontal surfaces underneath a lot of places. But throughout the day, that disappears with the flow and everything. And I still never noticed bubbles in the tank. So maybe I've just been lucky.
Yeah, and it's not even like them getting stuck anywhere. It's just like seeing them in the tank.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
my thing. So
Is the glass in
What?
there yet?
no,
Just the tile. Just the tile. Yeah.
should be. Well, we'll see. Maybe this week it'll come in.
Yeah, that was the one that broke.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe this week it'll come in. I'm not gonna worry about it because even if I get it, if I don't have the sealer picked out and I don't have it on hand, it's really not slowing anything down.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure once I get it in there, I'm probably gonna once I put the sealant in, it's probably gonna sit for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking I'm pretty sure I'm gonna sit 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, I'll go ahead and in that time I could fully assemble and plumb, and then this tank will be ready for a fill test. So, which will probably take several days to fill. So, don't want to go to taking any chances on this thing while I'm filling it. So,
No.
we'll see. Maybe I'll do about a third, and then we'll let it sit for a day or two and watch it, and then
Yeah.
once
Because the other thing is the more water you put in, the more you're going to see how level it is. That's what we're faced with this tank. We're not doing any of the leveling, install, whatever. That's being handled. I'm paying somebody to do it. And
well, and the nice thing about this type of tank, and I kind of had it with my plywood tanks too, is like it's fairly level, but it being off level a bit won't impact this tank the same way it would a glass or acrylic tank with joints.
True. Yeah, that's true. Your joints are actually going to be flexible in this one.
Yeah. So it shouldn't, just the amount of structure that's under here, it really can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing, like I'd have to have a severe structural failure for this thing to shift. Because I mean, it already weighs a lot now, and the glass is going to be kind of floating. So yeah, there'd have to be a major structural failure to have a big shift, or like the floor would have to buckle or break or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But,
hey, good night, Benny. I'm glad you came by tonight. Congratulations on being a prize winner. And I got your email, so we will get that shipped out to you. And I hope you have good luck with the phone. I hope you get something new that's going to work for you. Yeah, Diacanthus, Alex is talking about reverse Carlson. Is that a type of system that creates surges?
Yeah, it's rock toppling strength. Yeah.
Okay, maybe not.
Yeah, no, I haven't looked at them all that much. I was looking at original Carlsons, but I don't know if I've looked at a reverse one. But yeah, I know that that's the one thing is I'm just trying to figure out if I could ever fit something in like that into my new display.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be bad for like the SPS section, but at the same time, it's where I kind of go, could I do something with a propeller pump that, goes like turns on like ultra high every now and then.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, we'll see, because I think a lot of it's going to have to do with what, once the display actually is running, how much water flow am I actually getting with the methods I'm going to try and use.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, and Diacanthus said they'll drop your tank water level so fast there's a wave falling in on itself. Like the tide's going out. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool in a 5 by 5 foot space in my fish room, don't you think?
Yeah, it's just the vertical height that you got to get
Yeah.
to get them to really get going, or the diameter of the line you're using to siphon out.
Yeah. It's like putting an elevator in your house. People don't realize it takes 3 times as much of a shaft downwards to make it work for 2 stories.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the person's name that is. There's somebody, and I know they're in California. They just took down a 500 or not a 500, a 400, I think, that the acrylic seam was starting to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a surge device, and I remember them saying something like it's like 20 feet up in the air.
Oh my God.
And they had like a motorized ball valve, as I recall, that would open and close to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
maybe a little ambitious for my 8-foot ceiling in my fish room.
I think that involved like going in the attic of their home or something. It's like,
I wonder what planning permission it would be to be able to put a shaft up through the roof. You can't even have TV antennas around here without a lot of hassle. And not to mention winter. It probably wouldn't be good for the water to be going outside the house during the winter.
yeah, I'll see. I think there's other methods and stuff too that could be implemented, but I really want to see what happens when I try to, once I get things going the way I want to, because I had some ideas for flow, and
yeah,
it'll be highly, if I'm able to do what I want, it's going to be incredibly randomized, the way I want to do it.
and
Well,
I guess oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's just going to see how good I can become at programming and designing things with 3D printer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure you can. And the thing is that one of the things I would love to see in my new tank, is the type of light on the bottom that comes through, like, when you're snorkeling in really shallow water and you get those really large sort of areas of like they call it the shimmer, right? That you get with certain lights. But the areas that those things cover are big. So they're like huge areas of shimmer instead of the little areas we get in our reef tanks. I would love to see those huge areas of shimmer so that it makes it look a little bit more natural. And believe me, I know that there's nothing natural about it, but I just love how the ocean floor looks, especially on a sandy floor with the sunlight coming down through, and you get those large areas because the surface ripples are large.
Yeah, because of the wave action.
Yeah, love to be able to do that. Anyway, we'll see. First, I got to get a tank.
Yeah, it's. I know the feel. Just trying to get things together, but once I've just been looking at it, and I'm like, wow, I'm a lot further along than I thought I would be in 2 months into this house. So
yeah, you have come a long way. I remember how this looked when we first saw it, and just what you've got built, because there's a lot to overcome even with the space you have available, because you've got so much stuff that you have to organize and work around. So
yeah, and well, that's gonna be I got at least one box down here that has no business being down here, and just needs to be evicted to the garage. But you know, like that tank doesn't need to be down here.
Yeah.
Um,
It weighs on your brain. That's what I find.
yeah.
I think about it way more than I should. If I would just go and take care of it, then it wouldn't be taking up space in my brain anymore. And I mean, it's taken me a long time with this hobby to learn that as soon as you think about something, as long as it's a good idea, it's better not to let it take up space in your brain, especially if it's in the way of doing other things. And I'm just awful for that. I hesitate. I don't even know why. Maybe because I haven't quite figured everything out yet. So I don't want to do anything at all until I know from beginning to end how it's going to go. And I'm really trying to get over that just so that I can move ahead.
Yeah, and so much of the stuff that I have, like a lot of the stuff in the boxes, it's like, oh well, looking at the 720 that's over here, you know, it's a complete mess there. But when I look at what's on it, well, the UV sterilizer is not going to stay there.
Yep.
The secondary chamber for my Geo is not going to stay there. These tanks can get moved someplace else.
Yep.
This is all lighting and pumps.
Mm-hmm.
And then my old T5s and some other electrical stuff's in there, and my gyres. That stuff's all going to come out. Same in this box. There's a lot of it there's not a lot in there. There's some Apex stuff and reflectors and things like that. And then this is going to go away. So once I get this built, I can remove some of this stuff and get it out of there.
Yeah.
So, and same thing, like some of this is plumbing for the UV sterilizer and stuff. So
it's like a military operation.
Yeah, it's a mess. All the covers for the 265 are sitting here, and you know, yeah, this is stuff that was for the 120 that I'm not going to use. So this is lumber that I could scrap and do something else with.
Yep.
So, which I think I know what I got an idea for one of these. It's gonna become my shelf over here to put the calcium reactor on.
Yeah.
So. And then I'm going to shove the heating coil in here for now.
Hey, Alex, how much hose did you actually have submerged in your other system for heat?
It's about 50 feet, probably.
50 feet? Yeah, that's pretty much what we ended up with out of a 100-foot roll.
Yeah.
By the time we ran it over to the heater, we took 25 feet off each end and then coiled what was in the middle into the so it would fit into the tank. And so there's about 50 feet in there.
Yeah, I mean, then the one thing, did you, on the return back to the hot water heater, once it leaves the tank, how long is the run of PEX before it gets to the tank and after it leaves?
25 feet on each end, less what they cut off.
Yeah, 50.
That was left over. So yeah, it would probably be a total of around, I want to say 45 feet is going to be out of the water.
Yeah, just the one thing I'd say, as long as you can, get the insulating foam and put insulation around it.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and we probably will do it because it's only 1/2-inch pipe. So
yeah,
it should be easy to do.
Hold on. I got it. It's some more of the flexible foam stuff that it's meant for pipes, that it's like it's already circular and split.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll just save you from dumping that heat into the room.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we did talk about that, and it was more from the perspective of insulating the pipe so that the water would stay warmer. And then we realized that heat rises. So whatever goes on in there, it's going to be warm up near the ceiling where the bulk of the pipe is running. But I never even thought about the reverse, which is to avoid dumping the heat into the room.
yeah, because if you're running the heat to it as a heat exchanger, you're trying to, the heat is getting put into where it's exposed. So if it's open PEX that's exposed to the room temperature, that's going to it's a minimal effect, but it will draw a little bit of that heat out of it. So that's why I always insulate the whole way, because that way you're doing the most efficient by exchanging the heat in the water and not in the ambient air.
Yeah. Yep. Very true. So there's special, I'm sure my husband knows about it because we did talk about it.
Let's see here. Let's see if I can guess the right box. Maybe this one? Yep. This is a horrible example of this, but it's 4 half-inch pipe, but it's already slit. So all you got to do is just pop it on.
Yeah.
So they'll sell it usually in the heating cooling section, which some of this stuff I don't even know if I should have kept it, but oh well. Yeah, that's what I'll put over all the plumbing, just to keep it insulated, so it's not pulling more heat into the room than I need to. So,
and your pipes travel. I mean, you've got lots of long runs of pipe going on in there.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna, because the hot water heater's there, and because I tapped in over here for just being able to get into my hot and cold water lines for everything, I'm gonna make a T right above that, or right below that valve there, and that's where I'm gonna start my PEX loop.
Okay.
So I'm gonna come out a little bit, and then I'm gonna put a T in it, and then I'm gonna run a PEX loop that way, and then a PEX loop this way towards the aquarium. So I'm gonna have 2 radiant heating coils with 2 controllers.
Right.
So
that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, just gotta make. I gotta make sure that there's check valves in there, and that way I could use one of those coils to heat my water storage tanks when I do a water change.
Yeah.
And then one of them for the aquarium system itself.
Yeah.
So, and I could use them as backups to each other too, in case something happens.
Right.
So.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's the plan. So, but yeah, I can get a couple more wooden structures done. I'll be well on my way, and then just depending on what's going on with glass, I might put some energy into the 720 and at least get the 2x4 framing for it done.
Yeah.
So.
And do you have sort of an overall timeline in your mind when you see having display tanks, like a year from now? I know the last system you built took about 2 years.
So the display tanks, I don't know. I'm really not trying to set anything. I imagine that once I have all this running and I start working on display tanks, that I could probably, once I settle on my design and I'm able to build, I would imagine it'll take me a few months to build the canopy and the stand.
Yeah.
And then I'll take final measurements for glass, order glass, and then, well, actually I'll take it back. I'll get the stand and the canopy built. When that is done, I'm going to aquascape the tank. But I'm going to basically build the aquascape in there without glass. And then I'm going to remove the aquascape and then get the glass in. So, and then once the glass is installed, then I'll come back around and put the aquascape back in.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you have to think about what order you're going to do all this stuff. It's completely different than just a normal square tank.
Yeah,
So
and
many
then
steps.
yeah, I anticipate the display once it's sealed, it's probably going to sit for a month or two to let everything cure.
Yeah.
And then the fill test will take a significant amount of time
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not gonna. It will take it's I'm not gonna make an incredibly tall tank, but it's just water volume. I want to be very gentle in how I fill it.
Yeah.
So
will you get like a water truck to supply it, or
no,
like,
I'm just gonna use my 200-gallon RODI
yeah.
unit to fill it.
Well, that's
So
what somebody said. If you have more than 300 gallons, it's a good idea to hire one of the water places to bring water. But I don't know if I
I don't trust
trust
their water.
it. Like
I
I
don't trust other people's water.
we're quite happy now. We don't have to go to the fill place anymore, and we're making RO water here. I just fill the 5-gallon jugs with sitting in the sink until we get
Yeah,
the
and
bulkhead sorted out in the 125-gallon storage thing. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's going to take a while, and the whole thing is, pardon me, when I do my tank, when it finally gets here, I don't want to fill it too fast, because, like you say, a bit at a time is better, just in case something does happen. And once it's full, then I put the rocks in, because I can't, if it's 300 gallons, I can only make 75 gallons a day, and I have no intention of going faster than that by getting a bigger system. So I'm just gonna have to take my time. It'll take 4 days to make enough water to put in it. And do I want to fill it up over the course of 4 days? No, probably I want to take a little longer than that. So, there's a lot of logistics to it. And normally I
yeah,
would put the aquascape in the tank and then fill it up gradually, but I can't really do that because I'm curing the rock first. So I would lose the benefit of all the time spent curing the rock if I let it get dry. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. I haven't done anything this way before, so it's going to be a learning experience for sure.
yeah. That's one thing that it's all going to be dry rock in the displays for me, and then basically whatever live rock that I end up getting, I'll probably toss it into the 720 or the 150, and I'll keep it there. Same thing if I get some live sand too.
Yeah.
I'll just put it into one of those tanks, and then the sand I would probably take that out and put that into the display. But I'm just going to use whatever sand I have because I kept all my sand.
Oh,
It just needs a very good washing, which is going to be a time-consuming process.
I'm just imagining what what it's going to smell like when you take the lid off.
Oh, it's going to be so wonderful fermenting for all those months, freezing, thawing, over and over again.
I wonder if the lids will start to bulge.
Well, each one of those buckets weighs about 100 pounds, so, and they're all stacked on top of each other. So if it has enough gas pressure to do that,
It's
I
going to be
think
an
it would
explosion.
probably have an explosion in the garage. So,
Projectiles. What were those white buckets flying through the air?
oh, they're orange Home Depot buckets, so
Oh,
at least they're
okay.
painted a safety color. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make up some kind of weir system, like kind of like a, I don't know, like something that I could like kind of rock back and forth that's suspended and like dump in small amounts of sand.
Yeah.
And then I think I might weir it to different grain sizes so that I can pull out. I could get the heavy stuff separated, and then the finer stuff can fall down to the bottom, and I can see how much dirt and detritus it really has.
Yeah.
Because with the sand being the way it was, like it has got to be thoroughly cleaned, and that's the only way to do it is to go basically one scoop at a time, and it's
Yep.
a painful process.
Yeah. And uses a lot of water.
Well, it's gonna definitely use some water on it, but I'll figure if I can get it at least 50 to 75% clean, I'm good. I can live with that.
Yeah. Well, because when you put it in, it's essentially whatever is dead in there is going to help cycle the system. So
yeah, and I anticipate that the tank, because it's going to get filled with RODI water. I am not spending the money on salt.
Mm-hmm.
So I could probably buy some. Maybe I could always buy some mollies and toss them in there, but I don't think I want to. So I'll never get them out.
No, they'll have babies and they'll turn up everywhere.
Well, that wouldn't help them very much in the predatory tank. But I'll see. It's more than likely going to have some kind of cycle, and then when it comes to adding salt, it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the secondary sump that I put in this area, I'm gonna plumb a bridge between the two sumps, but I'm thinking I might install it, but not cut the water over. So I could use this sump and then the displays so I could test all the plumbing.
Yeah.
And then the Abyss will be hooked up the way that it would, and then it'll run to that sump. And then when I'm ready to turn it to tie it into everything, I'll turn some valves and then I could have it go in line.
Yeah.
So it will be a challenge.
Oh yeah. Long term.
So, but yeah, we'll see. I think the rate I'm going here, I'm kind of anticipating that by summertime that most of this, if not all of it's up and running. Barring any major issues such as this does not work and leaks.
Right.
That would change things a little bit. So
well, I guess it depends what kind of a leak. If it's a seep that oozes a drop every 2 or 3 days, it'll seal itself with salt creep. But
actually, if it's like that, we're gonna put the black label stuff to the test and see if this stuff works, because it said it seals underwater.
Okay.
So, and it's instant repair and bonds to all surfaces. So
nice.
we'll see if this actually works. I'll say this: if it does, I'm gonna get myself this stuff's not cheap, but get myself another one of these little quick shot bottles or something.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep, have it on hand.
It can't hurt. So
yep. Cool.
But yeah, well, just one day at a time.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Yeah. And then the dehumidifier, I got to get that hooked up and get this room negative pressurized. So, which I think I'm just gonna exhaust it out into the finished basement. It's the easy solution.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool.
Lots of work.
Yeah.
But if I do this all right, by the time that I'm ready for the displays to come online, I should have a nice frag tank that's full of coral.
Yep.
And ready for some stuff to get moved over.
Yeah.
After a month or two of additional testing.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I look at what I'm doing. I'm hoping to get the sump system operating as a system, a standalone system, get it cycled, or at least the cycle mostly done, get my reef moved over, and just see what happens. Because the other thing that I'm planning on doing is bringing water over from the other tank and doing water changes. But when the time comes to move everything, I'll just pull the canister filters because I can run those on the 150. You know, they sit outside the tank. I can hook those up and run those and run the water through the biomedia and help seed it that way. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Yep. And then once I get all this stuff done too, they'll have to. I keep forgetting about this thing. I'll have to get this tank running too. So
the 90.
Yeah, just so that when I get new fishies in, they can get dumped in here for a month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, puppy. Well, we're at midnight. I guess I should say goodnight to everybody. And oh my God, look at that.
yeah, it's late.
Yeah. You got a big day tomorrow, and I'm going to start looking at rocks tomorrow and trying to figure out where to start, how to start, what I have. I might clean my house tomorrow, do some dusting. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's cleaning day for us, and then back at this.
Yeah.
So
It's that new house thing. I decided I'm not going to let my bathroom get as far as it used to before it needed cleaning. I'm going to try and stay right on top of it. And I polish the tap every night, clean up all the water drips off the mirror, and I've gotten the habit of it. So I check before I go to bed. So I'm trying to get in the habit of doing house cleaning because over the years, just the way life goes, we've got out of a routine for house cleaning, and it just is not a good way to live. So new house, new rules. See how long it lasts.
no, we're doing the same thing. So we had a decent routine, but this one we've kicked it up a notch. So
Yep. Lamond Gould, thanks for coming by. All right. Well, thanks, Alex. It's great to see how you're getting on with this, and I'm sure people watching and listening get lots of ideas from what you're doing. I know I sure do.
yeah, every now and then I come up with something that's rather smart. So
Yeah.
then again, if I fail, everybody gets to see that and go, ooh, that I shouldn't do that.
Exactly. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Yeah.
Sometimes they do.
Yep.
So
yeah. True enough.
all right. Well, thanks for having me, and might see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, Alex. Have a good week.
Yep. Good night.
Alrighty. Good night. And good night, everybody. I really appreciate you hanging until the end. And we will see you not next week. Oh, I guess I just said see you next week to Alex. I'll shoot him a message. Next week, I will not be streaming because it's the family birthday week. But the following week, the 13th, we'll be back. And I'll keep everybody posted about the time. I may decide to go to 8 p.m. And it's a really good point I never even thought of with more people's tanks having their lights on. So there we go. Good night, all, and take care of yourselves. All right.